Oh my goodness. Someone and the fly are always there. Lurking. Alright, let's see. Stevie is hosting tonight. I didn't really ask her if it was anything goes. Guess I can ask her now. Let's see. That's better. Good, good, good. Hey Jeremy, how's it going? Yeah. Alright. Hey Stevie.
Hey.
Alright, you've got the con. Did you want it to be
The one that says chat.
Sorry, I had to fix my feedback. Did you want it to be anything goes or after hours?
Oh, anything goes.
Alright. Good, we're set up. How's it going?
Good. I've slept all day.
That's a good thing. Sleep is underestimated. And
Yeah, I try to put it off, but eventually, you know, I crash and just sleep for like 24 hours.
it's good. You need a long recharge sometimes.
I need to get caught up on the news. I'm so far behind.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on in the world. It's nothing good.
Shit's bad.
Yeah. It's one thing after another.
Yeah.
So I do have something called the Somerville patch to kind of have. I think it's like a local news, but especially like I live in Somerville, Massachusetts, so they do some like more local, more state stuff, and then yeah, I guess that is what it is. So there's an MIT breakthrough. There's some good news. Might help restore memories of those with Alzheimer's.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I didn't even read it. I'm just looking at the snippets because there's one tomato cans and tinfoil. They called in a bomb squad because they saw that stuff. Anyways, let's see. Let me see if I can find. Every time I look through the news when I read about it, I always seem to try to find this original source, because a lot of times what people do is they find news and then they'll just publish a news version of the news they just read, and they'll just put the source link to it. And nowadays I don't even see source links. You don't know who reported it first.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a game of gossip, because you don't really know where it originated from, but each time it gets told, it gets twisted a little bit, and then by the time it gets to the end, it's just a completely different quote than what you started out with.
Yeah. What's that game called? Don't they have a game for that?
I think that we called it telephone, or some people call it gossip.
Oh yeah, telephone. That's what they call it for me. Alright, I wonder if other people are having troubles. I'm on the VPN, so it shouldn't be an issue. Unless there's like some groundbreaking news that everyone else knows but us. That would, I always feel like that can happen. It's like the zombie apocalypse is going on and I'm just kind of doing my normal stuff. It's like, hey, where is everybody? How come no one's...
That actually happened to me a few years ago. We had a terrible storm that came through and knocked out the power for thousands of people. I mean, it was just devastating. And I was just sitting at home on the internet. I don't know how it was like one of those, freak, tornado things where it just didn't hit where I was. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad.
So what's funny is I had a dream. It was a zombie apocalypse dream, but it was at the start of it. So I think it's either in Cambridge or Somerville. They have a zombie march every year, and so people dress up as zombies and they just march through the streets, and everyone just kind of observes and just sees who the best zombie costume is, and it also looks kind of cool to see a whole bunch of zombies just kind of walking through the streets. Well, in my dream, I guess it's a nightmare. My wife and her friend are watching the zombie march. They're looking through, and I know that the real zombie apocalypse is happening, and I'm going after her and telling her, "Hey, we gotta run. There are real zombies coming." She goes, "No, it's just a fake zombie march." I go, "No," and then they're actually like biting people, and she's still like, "What are you talking about? They're just fake blood." I'm like, "No." But that would be the worst timing for it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Right.
Do you watch Game of Thrones at all? I figured no, not really. You do?
Yep.
So I think of the things that no one really cares to think about. It's just kind of the stuff that you just put aside and they don't worry about it. I mean, like people think about what happened to Ghost, Jon Snow's dog. I mean, that's one thing. But for me, it's like what happened to the hounds, Ramsay Bolton's dogs that ate him at the end of his life. It's like, what did they do with him? Did they just kill him off? Did they just keep them around? They just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else?
I started reading the books. I think I've read the first two, and there's a lot of really good side characters, and then they just come in and then you just never hear from them again.
Yeah. And they'll show up sometimes a little bit in like the later books too. He's not gonna finish. I don't think he's gonna finish the next two books until maybe like 20. The next one's probably gonna be like in 2021, 4 years, and then he may not even be alive for the last one. Just kind of like Robert Jordan.
Yeah. I hope not, but
Yeah.
When did he write the first book?
1996.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if that's when he wrote it, but I think that was when it first published, the first Game of Thrones. So I remember I was reading it and I was like telling my brother, "Hey, you got to read this. It's pretty good." And he's like, "Whatever. I'll read it maybe later." And now he got really into the books, and he doesn't remember it that way. He says, "No, I read it first, and I told you to read it." We're always like that.
That was my first. Usually I read Stephen King or nonfiction and stuff like that, and then I read Game of Thrones. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And I started getting into like fantasy and sci-fi, different genres. Yeah, he's a really good writer.
Yeah. Actually, the first fantasy novels that I actually got into, ones with dragons, were the Dragonlance series. Those were pretty good back then. And it was like Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman.
I have those upstairs. I just haven't gotten to read them yet.
Oh, they're a little outdated. Once you read Game of Thrones and you read them, you're probably gonna be like, it's okay. But back then, when I was a kid, I just loved it. And some of their other books are pretty good too. Actually, I might be wrong. The first fantasy type novels I might have liked is Piers Anthony, the Zanth series books. I think that was the first series of books that I've read.
Is he the one that wrote On a Pale Horse?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay, I read that one. I wanted to get the next book in the series, but I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. So it's more for children, but like they're very punny. There's a lot of puns. The Zank series is a good one for puns. If you like kind of fiction, drama, mythology, There's one, Incarnations of Immortality. Those series are pretty good. So everyone, real life humans, I forget how, end up taking a persona. Like one becomes like a Lucifer type. The like a they take on that role. They're not necessarily them. They just take on that role. And someone takes on a role of like time, Father Time. Someone takes on a role of like God of War. Someone takes on a role of etc. etc. It's been such a long time since I read them, but it's kind of a cool concept. And I think he got a lot of flack. I think he's Mormon. I'm not sure if he is or not, but he got a lot of flack. I think a couple years ago by, I think it was during the 2012 election or something, saying something that was like non-PC, and then he got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was him.
Yeah, I'm looking for, well, it would be nice, maybe not now, but in a few years, because I like to read my son. So even some of those like adolescent, you know, sci-fi fantasy books would be good.
Okay, sorry. I don't think it was Piers Anthony. I think it might have been Orson Scott Card, Ender's Game writer. He's the guy I was thinking of. Sorry. But anyways, sorry. I missed that. I was trying to multitask and I failed. What was it that you
I was just saying, even the books that you said were for, you know, I guess adolescent type books. I read to my son, so those would be good for him, I guess. Like the Margaret Weiss, you said.
Yep, and Tracy Hickman. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
They even write some pretty good ones. So there's one trilogy or series. It's about a guy. So it's it's like everyone's a sorcerer, everyone's like a wizard. It's kind of like, so the Zanth novels by Piers Anthony. The good thing, what's funny is people who aren't in this magical realm, they're just called mundanes. But everyone that goes into the magical world of Zanth, they all have a magical power. It can be a great power, or it could be something dinky, like they could turn plants, or they could turn like things greenish color. Like that might be their power, but you know, some of them have some good ones. So anyways, similar idea, except that it's just a world of magic in this Tracy Hickman, Margaret Weiss series. And the one power that one person has, he doesn't have magical powers. He has it so magical powers don't affect him. So he's immune to everyone, like anything that someone does to him, it doesn't affect him. A sword somehow is in effect. Man, I haven't read that in such a long time. It's like one of those things where it's like, one of these days I just love to just retire and just basically read myself to death.
Oh man, I used to read so much, and then I had kids, and I really don't. I don't read nearly as much as I used to. Mostly now it's just articles and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And but I get those like the books on tape. What is that?
Audiobooks?
Audible. Yeah, audiobooks.
Audible.
Yeah, I get those. Yeah, it helps out a lot.
Especially if you're commuting on a car or something, or on a train. It's nice to just close your eyes and listen. That's what was it? People were telling Snork he should do it. He's got a good voice.
Yeah, he'd be perfect for that.
Yeah. Wow, a lot of chat, a lot of chatter. Oh yeah, Sword of Truth series. I think that was it. Jeremy. Oh wait, no. Sword of Truth is something else. It's not Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. It was actually I didn't read the full series. I think I stopped at like the 7th or 8th one. I think, is that the Legend of the Secret one? Terry Goodkind? I think so, yes. But they made a TV series out of it. I didn't like the TV series too much. But hey Christian. So that one was a good one. Gosh, there's actually a lot. It's just I think I kind of get out of it when a series goes too long, and there's nothing really new, like, or it doesn't get to an endpoint. I think that's why I like Game of Thrones. Is it's getting to that endpoint. There's a beginning and there's a definite end to the story, and sometimes a lot of series just keeps going, doesn't really have a beginning and an end. Um, that's why I feel like even my favorite sci-fi series with um, Frank Herbert, the Dune series, is like I feel like the first three books are kind of a trilogy, and then the fourth, fifth, sixth, and maybe seventh are kind of in a whole new direction. It gets really philosophical and um, not necessarily kind of. It's more of like, if you read it, it's kind of like Game of Thrones in the sci-fi future. Is That's how I feel Dune is like. Now that I think about it.
That's kind of how Dark Tower was set up. You know, it seems like the later books. Well, he wrote them like 30 years apart, but the later books were totally different than I don't know. It got real weird. He got real weird with like Song of Susanna and Wolves of the Kala. But the first couple ones, I loved them.
Yeah, he has some dry parts in some of his books, Stephen King. I think like when it got to the point of the minister, you know, being a drunk and then being homeless and kicked out of, and all this other stuff. That arc is like just slow and boring, and then it gets to the good part, like Roland's history and all that stuff, and then I don't know. I think I stopped. I don't think I even finished the entire series. I think I stopped at maybe Song of Susanna. I think there's 2 books that I didn't finish, and I always wanted to get back to them.
I don't know how many times I like chucked my book across the room. I was like, "Why would you write that? How could you do that?" Like, oh my gosh, I was so into those. That's where it got me through high school.
Hey, Shirley.
Probably why I failed a few classes too.
So what books do you like, Christian, or series?
Be right back.
I mean, I read mostly educational books, Ebon.
What?
I mean, like right now I have Oliver Stone's The Untold History of the U.S. I'm reading from the library.
I thought you were like you meant like textbooks. Like high school textbooks or something.
That would be something, man.
Yeah.
Like I have Chris Hedges' book over here, Wages of Rebellion. I have Dalai Lama's book, The Art of Happiness.
Nice.
Eckhart Tolle's book, New Earth. I have books about art, books about body language, negotiation, writing. I have Ralph Nader's book, I have Thomas Paine's book over here. I obviously got the comic books, as you know. Yeah, man. I haven't gotten really into like books like that, like what you guys were discussing, like the Dark Towers and Stephen King books like that. I started to read a little bit of Hemingway's For Whom the Bell Tolls, but then I got distracted by something and I just stopped. This was like a year ago now. Wow. Yeah.
You need a good solid 4 hours of just nothing but you and a book, and you just start tearing through it really fast. But if you get distracted, it's hard to concentrate. And I think that's the problem now. It's like we read so many snippets of just news and like magazine articles and nothing really bulky, I guess you could say.
Right, yeah, our attention span has gotten a lot shorter.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah. I mean, I think because now we have so much access to so much information at our fingertips.
Yeah.
And we digest so much in such a short period of time. It's insane.
Yeah. Do you, one thing I always want to do is find I guess I'll do this when my kids start going through public school, is read their textbooks, like their history books and all that, and just see you know, what the history book is mentioning, and just take it in and just say, you know, I don't think this is right, or they slant it in a certain way. It would be really interesting because I was never good at history because I was never interested in it. I think
Yeah.
there's a couple things I was interested in, but it just never got into the good parts. It was always about years and dates and what um, like a certain they name it a certain thing, like a certain event or like 100 years war, and then they'll say no, it wasn't really 100 years. It was because of this, and they boil down the whole war into just maybe half a page of just you know information that doesn't really seem to, like, why would a kid care, you know how.
Right.
So none of that sticks, and you know, until, I guess, a good thing about movies, even though movies get it wrong, you know, the whole historical context, at least they get them excited, like certain ones that can do it right. They get someone excited about looking it up on the internet and saying, hey, was this really real? And then you'll see all these articles saying, you know, what was real, what wasn't real from the movie, and then you get a better sense of what happened.
Yeah, I was just talking to a buddy of mine who was here. He just left a few minutes ago about Snowden.
I still haven't seen the Snowden movie. I want to. Did you see it?
Yes, it's awesome. See it. Definitely
Okay.
go see it.
What did you think? Did it? I mean, I think we're all kind of Snowden supporters here, so I think we're probably more in line with Oliver Stone.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, as far as I could tell, it was very accurate. As far as I know about what did transpire in real life, it was very accurate. You know, and when you talk about how when films get it wrong historically, sometimes it's by design, just to like spice up a little bit, you know, because like Hitchcock had a saying like, a movie or film is life with the boring bits cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it's true.
Yeah.
It's life, but lived at a very, I guess you could say, what's that word? Not exaggerated, but it's a highly, I guess exaggerated. I can't find the word. It's like it's life lived at a different, higher level, if you will, as a bit of an extravagance to it. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying about?
No, keep going.
It's life.
Let me
really
time this. I
without
think
the
it'll take like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
No,
it's
go ahead.
life. What was that?
No, just keep going. I just want to see if you could get it.
It's life without. This is funny for you, me thinking like.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's good, man. I don't take myself too seriously, man. Hey, Snork.
Hey, Snark. Life without the. Now you got me thinking.
Life without the boring bits. Life without the mundane. It's life that's lived
Maybe Google.
with higher stakes, right? The stakes are raised in a way.
Life. Yeah. Well, someone will come on and tell us what it was.
Yeah, man. I'm drawing a blank here, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what it is, man. I love movies. I'm a huge movie buff, man.
Yeah.
I do.
You know, it's like films, we never see the action star take a break and go to the restroom or something like that, right? It's like, they're fighting for hours. They don't go take a leak or anything.
No, because that would be mundane. That would be,
Yeah.
the whole hum everyday existence of a human being, of the average human being.
Yeah. Like 2 hours of just the action star being constipated on a toilet probably wouldn't be an exciting part of history.
No, probably not. But I'm sure you
although it would
find
be
some
kind of
fun.
funny a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like a Mel Brooks sketch right there, man. Yeah.
I was watching Tom Hartman once, and he had a caller using the toilet during conversation, and then he flushed and completely broke Tom Hartman up. He just couldn't stop laughing.
Because he probably had known that the guy was calling him from the toilet.
Yeah,
That's probably what it was.
there's something really
Oh,
weird
man.
going on. Let's see. No?
Hey, Stevie, I know you were talking about Dark Tower before. Have you seen the movie? No?
No, I haven't gotten to see it yet.
Is it out?
Probably.
It is out. Yeah, it's been out.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw some reviews of it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying not to be one of those fans that, you know, it's not the book, you know. So I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about the movie, but I guess I'll see it. I know that you know, I know the movie version isn't always gonna be as good as the book. So when there's a actual movie that comes out and I've never read the book first, I always watch the movie first, and then I'll read the book.
Yeah. I kind of had a feeling it wasn't going to go so good when they cast Matthew McConaughey in it. I mean, he's good in some things, but no, I wouldn't have put him in there.
If Christopher Walken was younger, I think he would have been a good cast for that part.
His accent though, man, I just always
His
think about
mannerisms.
Yeah, that's a Queens accent, man. I met a guy that was from the same area in Queens, and he talked exactly like him.
Oh, who's that guy from No Country for Old Men? Or
The good
Joshua
guy or the bad guy?
the bad guy?
Oh, Javier Bardem.
Yeah, he would have been good. A lot of people would have been better.
Yeah.
I liked him. I mean, he's Spaniard. He's you gotta come with a break.
Yeah.
That Texas accent can be hard for a person whose English is their second language, man.
Yeah, and he's got a really thick, deep voice too, which is kind of tough.
Yeah, see, he's kind of good at the bad guy, but I don't know if I wouldn't have even changed his accent. Like I don't know. I just think he would have been better than Matthew McConaughey in it. I don't know. But I'm sitting here judging. I haven't even seen it. Trying to.
Matthew McConaughey was really good in that HBO show.
True Detective.
True Detective. Yeah, that was a great series.
I want to see that because I've seen clips of it and it looks good.
It's really good. It gets kind of deep, but you'll like it. And then when you get that into and you start thinking of like Pizzagate, mind is gonna be blown.
Oh my God. Jesus, yeah. He's really coming to his own these past few years. I mean, a lot of people say this is the reconnaissance, if you will.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, because he won that Oscar for,
Yeah.
what's that movie? Oh God, I'm drawing blanks today.
Where he's kind of in the
He's HIV positive.
yeah. I know what the movie is. I never seen it, but I know.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Thank you, Song. Dallas Buyers Club, yes. Yeah. That was a great.
Yeah, there's just some stuff that he's really good in, but then I don't know.
He's kind of mostly the same character. I think that's the problem.
Oh yeah.
That
might be it.
But
I think a lot of it has to do with I've never seen him do a part without that accent. I've never seen him change his accent. I guess he can't. I guess he's like locked into being
Hi, Shirley.
Texan.
Hi.
Hey Shirley, I didn't see you there. What's up? Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with him and his accent. He's just kind of locked into that. I've never seen him.
Oh, if you ever get a chance, let me find it for you. There's a YouTube channel that I like. It's called. I wish I could.
We're drawing blanks today, man.
I
People
know.
It's YouTube-induced dementia going on.
Aural knots. That's right. Aural knots is the name.
Oh,
It's really funny. They do a good job of like editing, sound editing, video editing, rewinding and stuff like that. All right, see you, Tommy. So go ahead and watch it if you have time. Just save it. Just watch it. It's pretty funny.
okay.
It's with the Lincoln commercials that he does. So they just kind of do that and do like an existential piece on him where he's just thinking of thoughts. And they do. I don't know how they do his voice, but they did a good interpretation of his voice.
All right.
I love that SNL skit of what's that actor? The Dumb and Dumber actor.
Oh man, Jesus.
Baldwin?
Who?
No. He's from Dumb and Dumber. He was in Terms of Endearment. Newsroom.
Jeff?
I'm sure the chat. Maybe the chat knows.
Is it Jeff? No.
Jim Carrey.
Oh, Jim
Jeff
Carrey.
Daniels.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other guy.
Oh no. So Jim Carrey on an SNL skit, they do a skit of kind of like Matthew McConaughey. He's acting as Matthew McConaughey in the Lincoln commercials. And you know how Matthew McConaughey is doing this, but except in Jim Carrey's version, he's like rolling a ball of boogers and thinking in his head how great it feels to roll your boogers into a ball. I don't know. That one was funny too.
No, I didn't have any boogers. It was all acting.
That's all right. Got vitamins, I'm sure.
Oh man, that just made me think about people who drink their own pee.
Oh. Especially survival situations. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Let's see. All right, the Lincoln ads. This is a good one. So people go and can watch that one. That one's really funny. Cut me up.
Matt Damon actually has a good impression of Matthew McConaughey that he does.
Oh. Yeah, I love it when actors impersonate other actors and actresses. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. The actor that plays Loki in the Thor movies.
Oh, he's pretty good.
Yeah. He was on a British talk show called The Graham Norton Show.
Oh yeah, he's yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and he was doing he was doing the scene from Heat with Al Pacino and De Niro.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston, exactly. Yeah, he was doing that. He was just like him.
Surely you've got some
static.
Some weird sounds. Excuse me.
It's gone now. Yeah, man.
Do I have that channel? Yeah, I'm subscribed. I love watching that show, the Graham Norton show.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's if you want entertainment, it's with actors and actresses. It's pretty good. You know, sometimes you just need to plug yourself back in and just be entertained.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's pretty entertaining, Graham. He was messing around one time on Google search, and he was just typing words and just seeing what results would come up, right? Like what recommendations would come up. And he would type why, and they would read off the recommendations. The sky blue, are my nipples sore? Why do I have no friends? And then he kept going. It was like, why is, and then why is the sky blue? Why do men have nipples? Why is there a dead Pakistani on my couch? Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Tom Hiddleston actually was trying out for the part of Thor.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he didn't get it. I mean, it's good. He makes a better Loki than he would a Thor.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens a lot sometimes. You have actors that audition or want one role, and then they see them, the casting directors and the directors do, and then they wind up, hey, we could use you for this role. And it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always watch those. They do those little tidbits of, like someone got really famous for being playing a part, and there's like, there was like 4 or 5 other actors that were considered for that part, and they turned it down. And it's I wonder which ones those are, but those always kill me. Is like I couldn't see some of those actors playing that part because that one actor or actress just took that part and just took it to the next level. Yeah, they owned it.
Well, here's one off the top of my head. Now that my memory's working. Tom Cruise was originally considered for Iron Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. Oh man, he's perfect for Iron Man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine Tom Cruise as Iron Man. I can't.
He'd be doing a lot of running. Because I think every movie that Tom Cruise is in, there's a running scene.
Yeah, there's a chase. Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they like filming him running.
Like Matthew McConaughey, there's always a scene where it's
without a shirt.
Yeah.
Well, that's what James is doing, right? James is being the next McConaughey, just showing up without his shirt on.
I mean, they could be shooting he could be going up to the director saying, hey, Mr. Director, look, I know I have what exactly what the scene needs, and I think it would seem best if I took my shirt off. But Matt, we're in the library. All right.
But speaking of Matthew McConaughey, how about them Lincoln commercials? Don't he look like he's high in them things?
We were just talking about that, Shirley. Yeah, we're talking about those commercials.
Yeah.
I'm like, he seems like he's high.
He might very well be.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine just sitting in a car, shooting and just doing that for hours after hours? He probably did want to get high and go.
Yeah, 'cause he
Maybe.
was in a zone.
They're a different kind of zone. Oh, here's another one for you guys. Some trivia. Russell Crowe was originally planned to be Wolverine, and he actually recommended them to choose Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I wanted Clint Eastwood, but he's way too old. I mean, way back when I was a kid, I thought he would make a good Wolverine, although he was kind of a bit tall. I don't think he's as tall as Hugh Jackman, though. But because Wolverine's is short, and Hugh Jackman's pretty tall, so that's one difference. But as far as like looks, the grizzled look, I think Hugh Jackman did a good one in the later movies. In the first couple of movies, he thought Wolverine was a wolf, so he kind of acted more like a wolf than a Wolverine.
Yeah, he didn't know that there was an actual animal called a Wolverine here. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was acting like he was a wolf, and so he's always angry all the time, and it wasn't like.
I love Russell Crowe in Gladiator.
Yeah, it was good. I don't know if it was Oscar-worthy Gladiator, but It was good. If you like Gladiator or 300, watch.
I know you're gonna tell me Game of Thrones.
Nope. Well, I am gonna tell you should watch Game of Thrones, but you should watch Spartacus. It's,
I was gonna say that. Yes.
Yeah, it stars just the first season. The actor who played Spartacus, after the first season, he had cancer, and so they did a prequel after the first season, and then he ended up dying. So they had another actor replace him for like the second, third season. But that first season, I mean, that was just awesome. You've got pretty good actors in there too. Like some of them you'll see from more recent movies, but also Xena the Warrior Princess. I forget her name. She's in it for the first season. Definitely watch it. If you like Gladiator, you're gonna love Spartacus.
Okay,
definitely
Spartacus,
check out the
you
movie.
said was in the. Now, explain to me. It was the first season already.
Yeah. Oh well, no, they're done with it. But watch
They're
the
done
first
with
season.
it.
Yeah.
When is the second season started?
Oh, the whole all the seasons are over. They had season 1, and then they went to a prequel season, and they did a season 2 and a season 3.
Oh, so I gotta catch up.
Yeah, but you don't.
That's for HBO.
No, that was on Stars, but you could probably find it somewhere on YouTube or somewhere. Lucy Lawless, that's her name. And you can probably find it on. I don't know if you have Netflix or anything like that, or Amazon.
I have Cody. I have Cody.
You'll probably find it on Cody, yeah.
Okay.
I was actually thinking about the movie, Ebon. I don't know if you've seen it. Spartacus.
Oh yeah. That was
Kirk Douglas, the father of Michael Douglas.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Guess who directed that?
Who directed that? I know, what's his name? Oh my god, he was blacklisted. He wrote that. That was, oh my god, I'm forgetting his name.
Stanley
Kubrick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not Stan Lee, Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, no, Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, I know. Then the writer was Trumbo. Trumbo wrote that, yeah. And they made a movie of him recently with oh my god.
While you're thinking, anyway, surely the name of the actor who played Spartacus was Andy Whitfield. That guy was an awesome Spartacus.
Oh, okay.
So if you watch it and you really like it, you might be disappointed in the season 2 and season 3 just because he's not around to play the role.
Alright, we'll see if the card works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Snark. Oh, I guess he's talking off screen.
It's no.
Every time I hear Snork, like the name Snork, I think of the Swedish chef from the Muppets. I would say Bork. You know what I mean? I know, it's a really
No, I thought the same thing. It sounds like a Muppet character.
Yeah. You know how he always sings when he introduces himself? The Swedish chef does. It's like, and then throw something. That's what I think about when I hear the word Snork.
Let's see. I don't know, because I never really watched Sesame Street or anything like that when I was a kid. Never watched Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I never watched a couple of things.
Thank you, Stevie. I'll be here all night.
All right, more impressions, Christian. We're your casting crew. You know, go ahead and practice on us.
Okay. Well, I could do the governor. I could do Arnold a little bit. You know. You know, there's just screaming and it's always yelling and he's always saying stupid stuff like, it's not a tumor. It's not. And then you have his friend, you know, he sliced the lung. It lives. You know, sometimes I suffer from what I call SSS, Sylvester Stallone syndrome. I start to kind of. You know.
He's a good Arnold Schwarzenegger. God damn.
Thank you.
Say, get to the plane. Get to the plane.
It's the chopper.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. Yeah, man. Not a big fan of Arnold, the person, or the politician. So definitely not. But movies, yeah. Bodybuilding, yeah.
Yeah, in the movies, he talks just like you did in the movie, but on TV he talks regular. He still has the accent, but
yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Was Arnold? Did he take over from Donald Trump in that reality series show that he has?
The Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh, Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
Hey, Bram.
Hey, Bram.
Oh, y'all didn't see that? They got in a Twitter war about that. Trump talked about him. Oh, the show got canceled.
Yeah.
See, I was watching, it was two or three nights ago, Snork was talking to Forsaken about computer stuff, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. Bram would have been good too. It's like, yeah, you're right. You were right too, Snork, but there are also other stuff that I would have recommended. But now Forsaken's not here. It's like, where'd she go?
What are you talking about?
I'm looking at building one with the, it's called the Risen Thread River.
Oh yeah, comes out tomorrow. I'm so looking forward to that.
Wait, what is that?
The Risen Thread River.
New process for me.
32.
Is it all physical cores? 32 physical cores?
16 physical.
16.
Oh, 16. Okay. That's the actual name? Threadripper?
That's Threadripper.
The name.
Oh my goodness.
Black Edition's the one I'm waiting for.
You want the 1950X?
I don't know if the Black Edition's released yet.
I don't think there is a Black Edition in this series.
There will be a Black Edition Threadripper.
So the Black Editions in the past, as far as AMD, were unlocked.
30% overclock.
Yeah. So, okay. I mean, typically you could overclock I forgot what it exactly was.
But it's nice when something's made
specifically for it
with overclock in mind.
Yeah, that's good. Oh, do you have to delete them, or is
no, these are soldered?
Oh, nice.
It's not Intel.
Yeah, that's what I hate about Intel. They started to not use
Yeah, this is an Intel.
Okay.
Not only that, but it probably will still use less power than an ice oven.
I mean, well, Intel made some big leaps with efficiency.
180 watt TDP, but here's the difference. Okay, the chips that it's going to compete against, the Threadripper chips are, I think they're around 3.2 gig.
See that
is the speed. 3.2 gigahertz is the speed, and that's rated at 180 watts. But the difference is that Intel is saying theirs is 165, but theirs is much lower clocked.
Yeah. But
there's the difference.
But you can't always use that to see about efficiency, because when I was looking at when I overclocked, say, the i7 3770K when it first came out, and I was basically taking the reading, because I have like a gold and now platinum rated power supplies, so I measure the wattage from directly from the power, the input, the AC adapter. Sorry, and then so I just kind of figure out, okay, if the efficiency is about 90%, then I calculate that. So I take the readings just standard default clocks, and then I'll overclock it to say 4.85 gigahertz, and then I'll of course the voltage goes up, and I take the reading. It was only at max 100 watts more overclocking from default to 5 gigahertz, and so that go ahead.
My daughter and I both plan on using extremely thread-intensive applications.
What are you going to be using? Just curious.
It's something that we're doing.
Okay. Are you ever going to reveal it to us, or is it just top secret?
It's not top secret. It's just business proprietary.
Okay.
God.
Why not go for parallel? Parallelization, I guess, or however you say it, using graphics cards.
It didn't say we weren't going to be using multiple.
Okay. Man, I'm really interested in what you guys are doing.
Ebon's trying to pry.
Hey, Snork, have you seen? Did you see Linus's latest video about the epic processor racks he was building?
No.
Oh yeah, that looks badass.
Now this has been the first time I've done anything back in the computer world since my wife died. So we have an application, and 2 or 3 Risen-based systems should take care of us.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got a Risen-based system myself. I just built.
I may be pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, it's the 1700. It's only an 8-core 16-thread, but it kicks ass.
Yeah, and I'm using, I'm not sure if I'm still using Bulldozer 8-core.
Bulldozer.
Either Bulldozer or Pile Driver.
But the Bulldozer does pretty well, I think. It's been a stable, strong system for years. I can't remember if I moved on to the one beyond Bulldozer or not. After a while, they all kind of meld together in your head.
Right.
For me, the extra RAM and the power limit that I need to, this entire area, I need to run on less than 40 amps.
Yeah, it should be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm having to add solar panels to get some more current on here.
Okay, that probably bored 75% of people listening.
No, not at all, man. You guys are very knowledgeable, man. My father's a big techie.
Yeah.
Oh, 30 years ago.
I can follow sports better than I can follow a conversation about computers, and I don't know anything about sports.
30 years ago, I was called to an operation where they had a RISC computer, and we wouldn't even consider the speed of that CPU significant these days. And they put a pagoda heat sink on the thing that was 4 inches tall and had all these fins sticking out from the sides. And they left me on each quarter an area 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters on each corner to push in hundreds of pins. And they needed like 30 pounds of pressure for each pin. And
right.
We keep breaking these. We have to mount the heat sink when we put it together. So we need a way to put these into the socket without, and so we analyzed what was going on. I had some really good mechanical engineers, and I came back and I said, we need to have that to within 4 100,000ths of a square inch, maybe it was 2, in height, and we needed extreme accuracy, or we were going to break them every time. And I mean, these were like $10,000 for each CPU, and they're like $100,000 to drill a hole. We had to drill this super accurate hole in and it needed a hydraulic press to push them in. And it was like, you guys didn't think of this before you made that heat sink. Computers used to be so wasteful on the energy to get the speed that they needed for that kind of application, and it was just absolutely hilarious to go in, get called into a room, and if I was called in, it meant that it was costing big bucks. Not to me, like piddly. So I'd go in and look at it, and I see this pile of broken CPUs and really cool looking heat sinks coming up, and it's just, I could have lived for 20 years off the price of the CPUs that are busting per minute.
That's ridiculous.
But that's what it was like. That's how it was really cutthroat in the electronics industry at the end of the 80s and the early 90s.
Snork, do you ever watch *Halt and Catch Fire* from AMC? Oh,
you would like that show, Snork.
You should watch that.
Yeah.
*Halt and Catch Fire*. It's based in the 80s about the computer era. Really good show. It's on AMC.
It's on AMC?
Yeah, okay. I think they've done 3 seasons maybe already.
Wow.
But they're really good. It's kind of fictional, historical fiction kind of, but it's really well done. You would really enjoy it.
I'll have to check that out.
Both of you would really enjoy it. Yeah.
I guess one you guys watched that show Scorpion.
No, I haven't.
No.
Haven't heard of it.
No. I've heard of it though.
That's one of them tech shows too.
Okay.
I was gonna ask. Oh, you're right, Stevie. What's going on?
Okay.
Okay, I just found an article about this woman that, oh my god, I gotta read this. I'll go read this and I'll come back.
I wanted to pose a question to the group. Does anybody here think that it might be a good idea to come up with like between 3 and 5 specific platform points that we want to see from a candidate before we'll consider voting for them or assisting their campaign?
Like a bare minimum, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to see a gauntlet, some kind of glove thrown that's got, if you want to say the 5 fingers of what this glove is, we're throwing it at you. If you don't do these 5 things, don't ask us for money, don't ask us to knock doors, don't ask us to vote for you.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Now, how would we present that and where?
And what would those be?
Well, it's got to be single payer.
Yeah, obviously single payers at the top of the list.
And I don't want to state a value, but I would like to say the working wage.
Robert from Bob TV and Jamal Thomas and a couple others have mentioned People's Manifesto. So some type of manifesto where you can get people to sign the petition that they will fully support anyone who supports the manifesto.
I just don't like the word manifesto. Because we're throwing something down.
Exactly.
This is what we need to do, and these are our 5 fingers.
Yeah. So anyway, something similar to that, and actually have it so people register, people have their names, people have their voting, their poll station, that these are actual voters, registered voters, and that they're in certain states, whatever, that no matter what, they're, if this thing ends up getting, like, say 10 million people to sign it in the US that are registered voters, that can make a huge impact.
Could you get 14?
Yeah.
I'm guessing 14's the number.
Yeah.
If we get 14, we can get 28. We get 28, they're going to crap their pants.
Yeah.
I would, since you do a lot of investing, Eben, I would invest in Tide.
Tide?
For washing underwear?
For washing the underwear.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I thought that was bad.
But definitely, like you were saying, so single payer is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I would say election reform, campaign finance reform, another one.
Wars.
And of all, counterinsurgency wars.
College through postdoc.
I have one platform suggestion that I think can be very. I think if it's implemented, it can solve a great many things. This one platform suggestion. I was in. It really dismayed me. I was in a meeting today at work, and we were discussing. There's some changes going on with the company, and nobody else caught this, and nobody else was pissed off about it but me. Despite the fines and the rulings against them, they have still been extremely profitable. And I looked around the room. I could not believe that I was the only one who was pissed off by that. So I think, this is my honest opinion, I think one of the things that we need to push for, and I know it may sound a little extreme, socialize the banks, fuck them.
Well, start with the post office.
Yeah, give the post office the ability to do community banking. Yeah.
So sort of like a modern day Glass-Steagall in a way.
Well, actually, the Treasury, I don't think actually can make money. However, the post office can.
Post office, that's correct. The post office can. That's
post
correct.
office can issue stamps, and they can make money orders.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, wasn't it last week Nina Turner went to the Democratic headquarters with petitions signed for a platform, and they put barricades up and didn't allow her in?
Yeah,
that was like 2 weeks ago.
And that's why I think it's time to just wash our hands of the DNC and Democratic Party and say, screw you, we've had enough. You don't want to listen to us? That's fine. We're not going to listen to you, and we're not going to pay any attention to you either.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to hear the story Stevie found.
So apparently, I think this was today, there was a woman that was driving up from Jacksonville, Florida, on her way to New York, and she, what happened was she wrecked, but some people that were driving by saw her drag a body into the woods, and this happened right here, a couple hours from where I live in Morgantown, and apparently it was her daughter, and she had been dead for 2 days, and she had taken her and was on her way up there to the dad's house, the kid's dad. So, yeah, and she was trying to drag her body into the woods when people saw her, at the accident. And they got her in jail right now.
Mm.
That's crazy.
So she killed her daughter? Is that what they're surmising?
The coroner said that she was at least dead for a day, but the mom said that she hadn't moved or done anything in 2 days. So I don't know. They didn't say. All it says that it was obvious that she didn't die from the injuries, like in the accident. I wonder what that is.
How old was the kid?
They didn't say.
Oh.
I used to live in the country, about an hour west of Chicago, and there was this 4-mile drive where I was completely out on the road that nobody ever took, and I always sped. So it was a real easy way to make up a lot of time if I woke up late or left late to get to work. And I come speeding over the hill, and a state trooper helicopter comes up and starts flying alongside my car. and so I start slowing down. It's like, oh, speeding, I guess I'm caught. And I go up over the next hill, and there is about 100 police and highway trooper cars waiting for me at the end of the highway. And I thought, I didn't think I was speeding that much. And my neighbor 3 miles away, I mean, out there, there might have been 10 people between us and the next neighbor, had a restaurant and a hotel, was failing. And he killed and chopped up the cook and threw him in the woods between us. And the police were out looking through the fields for body parts. And but you come over the hill and you're 15 miles over the speed limit, and you see the helicopter coming down on all the cars, and it can be kind of an unusual feeling. But we used to have a problem with my kids found a shotgun that was dumped from a crime out behind our house, and people dispose of body parts out there and things. So I kind of didn't like living at that, what we felt must have been the first comfortable area for people to think, oh, this is a good place to go dump a body, or this is a good place to go throw a crime gun.
Well, James.
What's up? Can you guys hear me? Because I had to update Windows 10 and it fucking took forever.
Yeah.
Don't you love Windows 10?
Yeah. Fucking, I was like so triggered. I'm like, ah!
That is specifically why I got Pro, so that I could opt out of the updates.
That's why you got what?
Windows 10 Pro.
Yeah.
Because there's no updates?
Well, there's updates, but you pick when they happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It's a shirt on today, man. Wow.
It's a little more expensive, but it works.
I think it was only 99 more. Does that about sound all right?
I think it is. It's like $100 more. Yeah, I think you're right.
It was pretty insignificant. And I think the Pro version doesn't come with Solitaire, but you get it online anyway.
Or Minesweep? It doesn't have Minesweep? Well, then fuck that.
I don't think it has Minesweeper. Microsoft website. You download it as an app.
As long as it plays Tom Clancy's Wildlands, just fine. I'm good.
Yes. Yeah, I was just a pain in the butt. I was just like, come on. It was like 30%. Hey, okay, so here's a question.
Sure.
You know when that little circle goes around?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that thing called? Is there like an actual title for what that is?
There was, and I forgot it.
I can't.
Okay, that's like the winning prize answer right there, because I've never gotten an answer from anybody, and that's on everything.
Because they were really desperate. They didn't want it to become known as the Wheel of Death.
Yeah. Crazy. So they used to be an hourglass, right?
Yeah.
Remember? And then it changed to the but anyway, I don't know what the fuck that thing's name, but I hate that thing. So what are you guys talking about? What's going on? Anybody talking about Seth Rich, the terrorist?
Oh, really? The terrorist?
Oh, the GOP guy say he committed treason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everywhere. It was weird because this was interesting because I was watching Hard Bastard earlier, and then all of a sudden somebody types in Seth Rich is now a threat or seen as a terrorist or something of that nature, or was seen as a threat or a terror or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then Hard Bastard like completely stops his show or what he was talking about. Goes, they're at their last straw. If they're bringing up him as being like a Snowden or whatever those other guys are, you know, then it's like they're getting desperate. That's all they have left. That's all they have left is to call this guy, you know, a fucking a terrorist, or, you know, make him seem like he's a bad boy and a bad threat and a threat to the United States. That's all they have left. So that's their last card in their hand, and it's a fucking deuce of clubs. You know, it's terrible.
And also today, the Nation published about letting them know about the intel that came out where it was leaks and not Russia, and it's been going on for a year, and they don't know what the Democrats are going to do now because it wasn't Russia.
Yeah. It's getting close, I think, to the point to where people are actually putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
You know, but of course the mainstream media isn't projecting any of that. Fox is, just to get a better angle for themselves. But you know what's funny about Fox, I think, is they're backing and they're following WikiLeaks every once in a while. But then there's gonna be that day somebody's gonna come around and they're gonna get fucking bit in the ass by fucking WikiLeaks. And next thing you know, WikiLeaks is bullshit. Listen or watch, you know. It's just like real reporting is evil and bad according to the mainstream media.
That's where MSNBC was just a few years ago when WikiLeaks was hammering Bush. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's been the mem. Where were you guys at when WikiLeaks brought out Iraq War as being bullshit?
Yeah.
What happened then? Now WikiLeaks is nothing.
Yep.
So anyway, they're just going to try to paint this kid as just being a bad seed of the state.
That's just so disgusting.
Country.
So disgusting.
Yeah, it's the clock is ticking on the DNC. You know.
And just looking at MSNBC now, and all it is like a bunch of Republicans on there.
It sure sounds like it. Doesn't it seem like it?
It is. They got
like
a lot of Republicans
Fox
on there.
Go ahead.
I want to ask a question for you guys, and this just came to me now. With the absence of this being covered, like the whole DNC lawsuit, Seth Rich, the absence of that being covered by a lot of our, you know, the trusted sources like Democracy Now! And other independent media outlets that we go to for information.
Right.
Do you guys think that somewhere in the midst of this mess, there's something bigger than Seth Rich and the leaks involved, and that's why some of these media outlets don't even want to touch it? Because it's interesting to me that Democracy Now! Won't cover it, right? Glenn Greenwald's had a Twitter war with Jared Beck a few weeks ago about not covering it. It's just very intriguing to me that these people don't even want to touch it. Like they don't even want to mention it.
Those Clintons have a lot of power. Did you hear today that the Department of Justice going to make a deal with her? She plead guilty.
Supposedly, yes. The AG was talking about that today. Yeah.
Okay, so to the answer to his question, you fucking damn right. Yes, absolutely. There's something. It's almost like there. I always say, you know, it's one party posing as two, but when it comes down to the brass tacks, they're going to fucking protect each other, and they're not going to let that two-party oligarchy go down. They're going to do whatever they can. If one goes down, the other one's going to go down. That's what I say. It's going to be a domino effect with these two fucking parties. And I think they're starting to realize that. So, you know, I don't think Fox is smart enough to understand that. But I really and truly believe that at some point, they're going to expose themselves as well on where they really stand and who they really stand for, which is sad that nobody knows because it's not us. They don't fucking give a shit about us. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give, George Carlin said that. And then it's just becoming more apparent day by day by day. And then as soon as the DNC goes down, which I really think it's getting close to doing, everybody thinks it's not going to happen. Even Hard Bastards said, these people got so much money and so much power. And if Seth Rich is actually linked, or if the DNC fraud lawsuit actually gains more steam, and is, real quick, I don't know where that is on that. I don't know what Jeff Beck and Liz Beck are doing with that, but hopefully that's going well. But I really truly believe that somebody's going to fuck up. Somebody's going to break. Somebody's going to go, you know what? I'm not going to fucking ride this train anymore, and I'm getting out of here. There was a guy recently, what was his name, that he went from Democrat to Republican. I forgot his name.
West Virginia?
Yeah, West Virginia. Yeah, exactly. In Stevie State. And the thing is he had minuscule reasons, nothing really serious. When Lieberman jumped from Republican to, I think, Democrat, right? There was good cause for it, or was it, whatever way he jumped. But the thing is you may be seeing that happen. If more people jump from the Democratic Party, they might want to get off of the train that's about to go off the tracks, or the train that goes off of the big ledge because there's no track going. The bridge is already blown out in front of it. That's my analogy. I think some people might start jumping off pretty soon. That's
maybe.
Yeah,
possible.
But they're all together. It's a big fuss.
They say Donna Brazil is a person of interest in the Seth Rich case, because she tried to shut Rod Willow down from investigating. But she's a Christian woman.
She's protected by the hand of God. She cannot be prosecuted. She is absolved of all crimes, of all sins, because she's a Christian woman.
Well, so sad. A lot of these people I had respect for, and they just totally took all that away. All that respect away from me when what they did with that election.
You guys were talking about some pretty funny shit earlier, and it sucks I couldn't come on. And Kristen, you had some good freaking impersonations, bro.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Arnold was really good. Arnold's was really good, and your Sylvester Stallone was really good. I mean, everybody here could do. I mean, Snork, I bet you could do a great McConaughey. Right? What?
I don't know that I've ever tried.
I bet you can nail that because he's got the voice for it, right? All right. You can just fucking do it. But and then you guys were talking about earlier the sorcery or sci-fi series and books. That's a J.R.R. Tolkien guy. That's one of my greatest books when I was a kid. And then Arthur Conan Doyle was good. So I'm trying to catch up here. So
wow.
Yeah, I like Sherlock Holmes. That was some great fucking writing, in my opinion. Nice. And then Dean Koontz was really good. Michael Crichton. So when you read Jurassic Park, the book, there's a part where and I still remember this because I was waiting for it in the movie when the kids were hiding behind a waterfall. Okay? And they were being shielded by the waterfall, and then the T-Rex went into the waterfall or something like that. And that was like the most thrilling part of the book. And I went to the movie and it fucking didn't happen. No, I hate that one. The book is so epic. And then you go see the movie and they leave out like a part that's just like a really kind of a substantial, vital part of the book. And then it's just all show and no go in the movie. It fucking pisses me off.
That's why you got to go see the movie first and read the book afterwards. I learned my lesson on that one.
Otherwise you're going to be disappointed.
I've heard that,
Jurassic Park, I did read that book before I watched the movie, and I was hugely disappointed.
Yeah, it just makes you you excited about going to see the movie, and then you like click it back to the book. Well, what the fuck? So-and-so's missing. You know? But they don't have enough time to put everything that's in the book into the movie, so.
Mhm. I mean, there's a whole myriad of reasons why they could have done that. It could have been budget constraints. It could have been that it didn't jive well with whatever else they were doing in the movie.
Budget.
Mhm.
Well, there was only so much they could do, and part of the second movie was some of the left out stuff from the first, like the I forgot what's the name of the little chicken dinosaur that was running through the stream. That was from the first book.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I'm thinking that sometimes they kind of know which ones are going to be stinkers and which ones are going to be big sells. They knew that Jurassic Park was going to be big sell.
Homemade strawberry lemonade.
I thought you were drinking Hefeweizen.
No. I do like Pyramid Hefeweizen. They're good.
That's good stuff.
Did Stevie get back?
Yeah, she's right there.
She's working.
They're doing something.
Yeah. The Attorney General here pissed me off, so I'm looking into him pretty deep right now. He's apparently going to challenge Joe Manchin. Everybody wants his seat.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He said some really stupid stuff today about single payer and trying to insinuate that, like, Joe Manchin would actually back single payer and that he would stand firm against it. I'm like, okay, this guy's so stupid. I just got to research him. So
A controlled opposition.
Got no interest in winning?
God, they're so dumb here. They're so dumb. But then it makes me feel bad because we voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating.
Or maybe not. Maybe you guys didn't really vote for him.
We do have a long history of voting, election fuckery, so I can see it.
There you go.
And here in Philadelphia also.
No, it's pretty much all over at this point.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How do people survive in a red state?
They don't.
Yeah, that's
Well, it's bizarre here because this county flips back and forth, but our state was kind of purple. We're a red state now, and it just seems like everybody you meet is a Republican, we had such a huge support, highest percent in the country for Obama, and then the highest support in the country for Trump. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you mentioned that, I think, 2 nights ago or a night ago. I was watching it, yeah.
Sorry, I want to... Oh, God.
What were you saying, Ebon? Sorry, man.
Oh, no, keep going.
Well, like here, it's... it just depends where you go in my state. The closer you are to either the major metropolitan areas, Philadelphia or New York, it gets bluer. But as you go further away from either or, it starts to turn red and red and red and red. Because like out by, I'm sure if Broken was on, he could tell you, out west in western New Jersey, it's to get really rural, like a lot of forests and everything like that. Not as densely populated.
Yeah.
And you actually, you guys were talking about this, I think, last week. If you ever go down south in New Jersey, especially more inland, you'll start to see a lot of Confederate flags on people's property, believe it or not. It's crazy that makes sense.
In New Jersey?
In New Jersey, yes. I've seen it.
Wow.
I've seen it, yes.
That's crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah. And even in central Jersey, I mean, westerly central Jersey, right where that divot is, where I guess you could say Staten Island is. If you look on the map, if you go across, if you start going west past that center line, you'll start seeing Confederate flags there as well. I've seen it there. It blows your mind, but yeah.
Well, these people had this stuff belted up in them for decades, and now they're letting it loose.
Oh, but I've seen this before Trump was even elected, or before Trump was even running for the Republican nominee. I'm talking years ago. I've seen this. And I don't know if they are born and bred New Jerseyans or if they immigrated here from a southern state. I don't know.
I see Confederate flags here in Iowa. We're part of the Confederacy here. This is the area where the Underground Railroad ran.
Yep.
Yet I see big pickup trucks here are bigger than what you have for pickup trucks elsewhere. Most of them have dualies. That means that there's an extra wheel on the axle in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have these little flares on the truck bed to allow the extra wheel size space. And most people forget that they have this extra wheel hanging out, so it hangs out in your lane when they drive by you. And then they'll have the two flags mounted on the back of them, and they'll be running diesel, 0.5 liter engines, and they smoke more than a diesel train.
I don't get it. I know why, but I'm just like, what? It's like telling everybody you're just a fucking idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm going to drive my truck.
Well, it's flags. The air quality is pretty clean here, except if you get close to McDonald's, you got 15 or 20 of those trucks lined up.
And it turns like instant LA.
I got to get a picture of them, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be funny to see this.
I also got a picture of a horse at a gas pump.
What?
Somebody pulled up to wash their horse off. Get some water, wash the horse off. He was sweating.
Put some air in the hoofs.
No, that's not where you put the gas. That's not where you put the gas. Not there.
You know what you call a guy with a hand up a horse's ass?
What?
An Irish mechanic. Thank you.
They build trailer houses here.
Really?
Nice ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't the RV capital of the world somewhere in Iowa?
Well, I don't know if it is anymore. The Winnebagos were made in Winnebago, Iowa.
Okay.
And then when they started doing poorly, after Reagan came in, he cut all kinds of, he basically threw Iowa almost into depression. The company called John Deere that made tractors didn't have any tractors to make anymore. And they took their electric foundry for making engines, and they were making race car engines. And in their big assembly factory that could handle making a tractor every 30 seconds, they were making Winnebago RVs.
Sorry.
Keep their crews going. They were doing contract manufacturing, and they would put together Winnebago RVs, assemble them inside, and there was nothing else moving except for one tractor that they used to keep the training every day going, and then maybe 4 RVs a day, and that was it.
Huh. Am I still echoing? Sorry, I think I was thinking of Elkhart, Indiana.
Okay.
But I wanted to mention, when you guys were talking about Michael Crichton, I noticed this a while back, that he uses the same formula in all of his books, because he's a kind of a sci-fi techie fiction writer, and it's always at the beginning he talks about some advancement in science or technology, and then it'll get to the story, and then it's going to be a problem, you know, with that technology not working quite right as the people who made it working out. And then there's a lot of running, and then, and then they solve it, and then that's every Michael Crichton book in a nutshell, you know.
Just
I've
rinse.
only read one of his books, and it was The Terminal Man. And yeah, I think that was about it.
Yeah, but
Hey, if it
it's
involves a lot of
good.
running, we get Tom Cruise to play it.
I know. I'm surprised Tom Cruise hasn't been in any of Michael Crichton's books or movies.
I want to see Tom Cruise, like, you know how when you see him running, they're like snippets or just quick frames of him running for like 25 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him like do like 100 yards. See what happens. Yep.
I'd love to see him running The Firm.
That's a good movie. The Firm.
Fuck anything.
Stevie, did you find
Hey,
something?
you guys, I saw on RT today, they were talking about Sarah Silverman when she was here at the convention and telling the Bernie supporters to buck up and support Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? She got a show now through CNN that's going on Netflix.
Surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
Mm.
So Lucas was talking about. Oh, are you going to bed, Ram?
I gotta get up early for work.
All
All
right.
right. Good night, Bram.
Yeah, Ram.
Ram.
Good night, everyone.
Oh, Forsaken, do you want to move back to computer talk so we could help you out?
Oh, okay, just for a minute at least. Well, I think I figured out why I blue screened the other night. It just crashed in the middle of the thing and went to a blue screen. And then it restarted. And I checked the event logs quickly before I hooked back up, and I wanted to get back in, so I didn't really get to look at them till the next day. And the earliest log from the time I found he had a TCP/IP event where it said it was trying to connect too many times. And that might have been what, and I'm thinking that might have been what crashed it.
So there'll be a code that starts with a 0 followed by an X and usually a couple more zeros. If you know that one, let me know. Usually the last four digits or last four alphanumeric characters pretty much can tell you what that error was. And Snork was mentioning it could be just your CPU heating up. There's a product that I use. It's called Real Temp. Go ahead and download it. There's a Real Temp. It's 3.7 is the version, and if you download that pretty much gives you a pretty good indicator what your CPU temps are based on load. It'll also tell you how what your CPU load is. It's a quick install. It works really well. And what CPU do you have? Do you know if it's Intel or AMD?
It's an Intel.
Okay, then it'll work perfectly. So download that and you can see how much it's using. Uh-oh, I'm running out of space. What I hate, I got like a 0.5 terabyte SSD and my main drive, and it just keeps going down and down. I hate that. So I always have a batch script that'll clean up all these Windows installs, and it at least clears up at least a gig or two.
Okay, what is it program? What's the name of it?
Real Temp, REAL space temp. I'll give you a link in the chat.
Okay.
Just look for it.
Wrote it down. Anyways, I found I wrote down it didn't have the blue screen had flashed by too fast, so I didn't catch whatever error code was on there. But on the
It'll be in your event logs.
Well, system event just had an event ID 4202. and it said it was disconnected from the network and the adapter's network configuration was released. But what I found out afterwards too, I looked when I set this up with XP. You only have it has a limit of like 10 connection attempts it can do per second, and they limited that so like to nanny so it wouldn't spread viruses so fast and everything. But it doesn't work so well with if you're using certain programs and stuff. So when I originally set this up, I used the EVID patch to increase the number of open ports, half open ports, so it could make that many more connection attempts at once. When I was doing this, I was running a lot of software in the background and stuff too.
Okay.
So
Is
that after I saw the log, I went and checked, and I found somehow it had reverted back to 10 instead of I had it like 50 or 100
okay.
half open connections it could do at a time.
Okay.
And it reverted, so I changed it back up. But I was trying to figure out what might have done it, and I think it may have been the patch that Microsoft put out after the WannaCry may have checked that and closed down, put it back to the standard 10.
Yeah, patches can sometimes just revert some of your settings back to default. The whatever program you have that you could try to open it back up, or just look in the registry. The registry will have whatever you need to modify there. But if you set it back, then it shouldn't be a problem. Or has this always been an ongoing problem?
I've never had the issue before. I mean, it didn't matter, what I was running, how many things were trying to connect to the internet or anything. It never had this problem until the other day on Ring Central, when I also was running some other things in the background that, were using connections. And I guess that must have overloaded it. And that's the one thing that was in the log at the time it crashed. That was the first entry at the crash time, so that's probably what crashed it.
Huh.
Which doesn't mean I won't clean it when I'm done with all the stuff I have to do here anyways, a little better, like Snark suggested.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Hey, Ebon, I have a question, a tech question.
Sure.
I can't stand that Windows 10.
Really?
And it took forever to download. But after that, I had a huge hard drive on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's saying my C drive is damn near full. I don't know how, because I don't save anything on there like that. I save it on my external drive.
Okay. That's because when you upgrade to Windows 10, it saved an image of your older version of your operating system. And so it's probably anywhere up towards 50 gigabytes that they'll save an image for. And you can delete that if you want. If you know you're not going to go back to it, I would go and delete it, or just move that image off to another external drive or something, so you can revert it back if you need to. But yeah, you can go and delete it. All you have to do is just go to your Windows, your Windows bar, type in disk, and then there will be, when you see disk, you'll see disk cleanup. Go ahead and click on disk cleanup, and then check. You can check everything in that disk cleanup. You really don't need any of that stuff. At least I don't. I always clean up everything. Pick the drive that you want to clean up. You'll have a lot of these check boxes. Checkbox everything. On the bottom left, there will be a button called, I think, delete. Wait, someone's got some feedback.
That would be Joey.
Okay. So I'm just waiting on mine. I just want to make sure I know what that button actually says. That way you don't push the wrong button, Shirley. But once you click on that, you'll have to select your checkboxes again, because it'll show you everything. And then you would go ahead and delete it all. If you didn't want to do, There's also someone created a batch script somewhere. I'm pretty sure, or I could send you pretty much what the batch script is. That'll just do it for you automatically, really fast. But
I'm just worried about losing my music I had saved on iTunes.
You won't. And if you do, you can always re-download them again from iTunes, as long as you log in with your username and password for iTunes.
Wait a minute, listen. A lot of stuff I didn't download from iTunes, from CDs I have, and stuff I downloaded from the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be tough. But do you have two drives?
Or do you just have external drives?
Okay, is your music on them, or are they on your main drive?
They're on my main drive.
Okay. So I would create a save that backup, and also if you have something that'll save the image of your current drive, do that, and then store them on your backup. So in case you ever need it, you can just reload everything, and you've got all your music files there. You could also just transfer all your music files to your external drives too. That way, there's more redundancy. I mean, it'll take up space on your external drives, but at least you would have to lose both your drives to lose all your music.
Right.
I got a question. So I'm not going to show you my desktop, but I have, there's no space on my desktop. So is it a myth that your computer will run slower if you've got a desktop that's just full of everything?
What do you mean by
like my desktop with all my files? There's like 1,000 icons on there, just on the screen, on the monitor.
Oh no, they really won't. I've got hundreds of them, and
I hear, oh, you should clean up your desktop, or else your freaking games won't run or shit. I'm like, no, I don't think that.
No, that doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah, you should see mine. I barely have any empty space, and it's poorly organized. I wish that I could just get or Microsoft would just make it so you can categorize your desktop.
It stores automatically, like if you start like it would storage, like go to a file because I'll click it and I don't know I'm doing it to desktop, and it just goes desktop.
Yeah,
so you have to actually place it in the spot that you want it.
Yeah, I mean they should make it in sections, and maybe also have a section where it knows all the things that you just kind of like your recent files or whatever, your recent applications, however many times you use it orders it by that. One thing
if you use it a lot, it would be in the top left corner
or
this
something.
Stuff I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
One thing I hate about icons is whenever I rearrange it, I play around with my monitor resolutions a lot, especially when you play games. Sometimes the games will switch to a lower resolution, or whatever. You choose to have it that resolution, or whenever you update your Windows or whenever you update your graphics card, it'll move your screen resolution down to pretty low, like 8x600. Like mine's a 1440 screen or 1600p screen, and it'll mess up all your icons. It'll just disorder them. It doesn't matter. There's this program where you can save it, but it doesn't save it very well when it does that. So there's a lot of bugs, but those are these user interface UI bugs. They're usually low priority, which sucks. So they'll never really fix them or do anything like that.
I like your idea. I think that's a great idea to put it in sections. The thing that you could do is you can organize your library. Organize your library. You know what I mean? What sections you want things to be.
Yep.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. You think you could create something like that?
Yeah, I mean that's simple, but I mean, how
But I
many?
mean, that would be great because I'd love to be able to just like stuff from social media just goes boop and falls in there. You know, stuff that I go to all the time. Boop, top left. You know, that would be freaking awesome. Because if I'm trying to find a particular file or a particular icon or a picture or something like that, like takes forever. So that would be a good idea, man. Okay,
All
so
right.
that's good.
Oh, well, I could add it to my list.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, bro. That is actually, because I guarantee everybody's got the same problem.
Yeah.
Everybody has that issue. I guarantee.
Uh-oh. James froze. It was all the icons in his desktop that caused him to freeze. Oh, there he's back.
I have 3 million things on my desktop.
There's like 3 people in the world that I know of. My brother-in-law. Oh, look, I'm freezing again. No, I'm not. I'm kidding.
James, you're kind of breaking up. And
But
you're
anyway,
frozen.
my brother-in-law, he's super. So anyway,
James,
there's some people out there that are super organized that do that, but it's not me.
James, you're frozen and you're kind of breaking up when you're talking. All right, that's better. Now you're really frozen. All right. Yeah, for last minute you're broken. You're breaking up.
Gonna talk for a second.
Oh, go ahead, Fly.
Okay. Forsaken, this is what I was talking about. It's about the size of a pack of cigarettes.
Bring it up closer.
As much as I can. It's plugged in. It's a HDMI plugged into it. Micro USB plugged into it. A few other components plugged into it.
What is it? Is that a Raspberry Pi or?
That's a Raspberry Pi.
Is that an actual thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe it will actually solve her problem.
For what's her problem?
She's having issues with getting into different websites because of the Windows XP.
Oh.
So I think this will solve that problem.
Why doesn't Forsaken upgrade?
Because I like Windows XP.
Well.
And because I have things that won't work with Windows 7 that I use.
Well, what you could do, this is what I did when I went to Windows 7. Windows 7 has it so you can use Windows XP. Yeah, a virtual machine. I think it's virtual. I think I have it. I'm still using Windows 7 for my main machine. Let's see. I guess I got rid of it.
I don't know, but I tried that on my laptop and certain things wouldn't work. Well, especially the thing I'm most invested in is I have a program that I log all my discs into and stuff. And I have hours upon hours upon hours put into that, you know, making a list of all the DVDs I own and all the information and everything, and it wouldn't work with it. It just freezes up. And
What did you try doing the use in Windows XP mode?
Yeah, on the laptop when I first got it, and I was I was going to put it on there so it would be a backup, and it wouldn't work on there, and a couple other things I had issues with too, even running it in the XP emulation mode. So that's why I'm really reluctant to give it up, especially that DVD collector with, hours in it of typing in titles and details.
I'm going to bed, everybody.
All right, good night, Christian.
Night, Christian.
So people know on Friday he's coming over to Boston for the Comic-Con, and we're planning to go on Friday. My daughter, my wife, or my 2 kids and my wife. So we'll see you there. That'll be interesting. We'll try to do a live stream so everyone can kind of see.
Yeah, that would be cool. Get some cosplay girls.
Oh, I had a feeling you would say that, James.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is they're so elaborate, and there's some cool costumes. It's just they put in these. I don't know, there was like a series that was out earlier. They put like a week and a half, like hundreds of hours on these costumes. They're nuts. Some are sexy, of course. There's no doubt, but it's just awesome because I love all that shit. It's cool.
Yeah.
I play World of Warcraft
Yeah.
with my mom.
With your mom, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
I love Richard Pryor.
All right. Also, for a second, I was going to mention two things. You can try creating a Windows XP to go thumb drive. That way you could boot up. Say you go up to Windows 10, but you want to go watch your DVDs. You can just reboot, but boot into your Windows XP drive that has all your stuff there and organized. So that's one route to go, and you can get SSD or flash drives that are fast, like SanDisk or whatever, for like a 256 gig for something like $40, $45. It's not too bad, and they're speedy. The other thing to do is like all your music or DVDs that has the titles and artists and all that stuff. There's probably some programs out there that can organize them for you. Do you think anything out there might work? A lot of them are also freeware.
I've tried to check. Yeah, well, this one was freeware too, and it was the best one of all the ones I had found. And every so often I check and see if there's any new ones, but there really isn't anything that offers the same versatility as this program. Plus, I don't want to have to type it all in again.
Yeah.
But I mean, even now I've got like maybe 3/4 of my discs in there, and there's still a ton that I didn't put in it, but it's a lot. But
it's better to get a flash drive, right?
Yeah. Fly. Oh, Snark, what are you doing? What was he showing?
I'm here.
Oh.
I cleaned up my desktop.
Oh, that looks so calming and
Fly.
relaxing.
How much does that Raspberry Pi setup cost? I haven't really bought one ever.
I believe the one that I have right here is $35, and the other one is $40. The newer, updated one.
Okay.
So it's really cheap setup. The only thing it doesn't come with a micro SD card, so you'd want a micro SD card, maximum 32 gigabytes in order to run it.
Can you hook up an external drive?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything USB would be able to be plugged into here as well.
USB.
But it does run.
USB 3.
USB 2.0 and down.
It's still not bad. So for a second, I would say those are your two best options: is to get a Raspberry Pi and an external drive that will store all your DVDs that we keep going with.
No, these are real DVDs. I mean, physical DVDs that I'm cataloging, not video files.
Oh.
Yeah, this would be something extra for instead of what she's using for cataloging, just another device that she could plug into her television.
Okay.
I mean, I have a ton of video files too, but I have a huge collection of DVDs and physical media, and that's what I was, keeping record of.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you want to use the same computer, just probably get a couple of Windows XP to go, or just one or two. Just make a image of it, and you can put it onto your USB drive, and you could just boot it up onto any computer, really, and you're set.
Well, could she get a couple of external drives and just transfer that stuff over to that?
Yeah, but then her application won't work if she goes to a different operating system. So that's one reason to keep it as XP. But if you keep...
Not to mention, I just like XP a lot better. I mean, even after I tweaked 7 like crazy, I never really liked it. And 10 just sounds like a nightmare.
Windows 10 is pretty nice. I'm actually starting to like it.
I can't stand it. I can't deal with Microsoft Word, Ebon.
Anyways, if you want, I can do a tutorial on how to do it for Forsaken if you wanted to try it out. Just get a flash drive and you can just go ahead and image what you currently have onto it, and then you start using it. You may not be able to image it. You might just have to transfer. It might not be a new install. I'll have to take a look, and then you just basically you could boot it up on any computer that you want to, and it'll run. So that's one great thing about these to-go like operating system to-go drives, is you just go to any computer and you just boot it up and boot up by the SSD, and then or the flash drive. Sorry, you can use SSDs as well as flash drives, or like USBs, for example. You guys were talking about M2 drives. This is an M2 drive in a kind of a heat sink type thing with a USB connector, USB 3. This one I can't open very easily, but I could show you. It's just a housing, so that SSDs do heat up very little, not as much as hard disk drives, but this will help dissipate any heat it does accumulate. Gosh, I can't find all my tools. Crap. Anyways, this is an SSD that I took apart. So I think it was an OCZ. Yep, it's an OCZ. I kind of wanted to talk about, you know, what makes up a SSD. Difference between other, like some manufacturers like Samsung just kind of have all their own parts. They have the controllers, their flash modules, and controllers. Others have, like SanDisk, will use maybe Samsung flash, but they'll have their own controllers, and all this other stuff. Anyways, that was way back like 4 or 5 years ago, so things probably changed now. But it's, I don't know. All right, that's probably not very interesting, so we can move on.
No, I think it's cool. It's like you guys are talking about engines. If you guys want to talk about like a 454 or a 327 or a 350, all Chevy block engines, I'll start talking about that.
Yeah, I'm not good at engines.
Yeah, well, it's still cool though, because that's your tech. You know, that's cool.
Yeah, back in the 80s, let me see what my cut. Yeah, back in the 80s and the 70s, all the old Oldsmobiles, Cadillacs, Buicks were always chopped up for their engines to make motorboats. They had these huge, wonderful engines, especially the Olds Toronado. I remember my 1964 Olds had I think it was a 495. They were huge engines, iron blocks, lasted forever. You could rebuild them, and our rivers here tend to be almost 15 feet wide, and we would have all kinds of people, these tremendous power boats, and really know where to run them.
Wow.
Any state that has
So many.
Could even have any of these cars left. Their engines were so much wanted for their boats.
Hey, so I got a question. If you guys, what's it called, electrical pulse, or when you can take down electrical systems?
Here's
a question.
Magnetic pulse.
A magnetic pulse. Sorry, it was there. I just did it anyway. The file monkeys don't move that fast. Yeah. Okay, so if everybody's driving an e-pulse happened within 50 yards, would it affect that car pretty bad?
It's not the same in every state in the United States. EMP is affected by your angle between you and the ionosphere and your position of the Earth's magnetic field, which is strongest at Minnesota and somewhere in northern Norway, where the big iron fields are. So if you don't have the magnetic field bending into the ionosphere at the point where the magnetic field's doing its whip, you're not going to have as strong as a pulse. California will never have as strong as a pulse as Iowa or Minnesota. I mean, it's 100 times to 1,000 times stronger here if we ever get one. So it's hard for me to say what yours would be out in California, because you're sitting on magma. You're not sitting on iron. So it's like you don't have the ringer to squeeze your clothes through out there. So it takes a much stronger pulse to do damage, which also means that it would dissipate much quicker. I don't remember the formula for the dissipation. It's like 1 over or 3 over 4 pi times your distance. It goes, or in the radius square, or radius cubed, it goes down really fast. And those are calculations I never have to make.
That's interesting, because I always used to think about that, because you guys are talking about technology. So the computers, let's just say it did affect the car. It just shuts down the electronics. The computers, it's not going to work anymore. Everything goes down.
It doesn't affect everything the same. Different frequencies are attenuated easier than others. Well, most cars, first of all, if you have a Corvette, it's going to hit you a lot worse than it's going to hit you if you have an iron car. Let's say some kind of are Buicks iron these days?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have an aluminum hood?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can think of every piece of metal of every different length and width in your car is a different antenna for a different frequency, and it absorbs these. The air itself, you're in saltwater era. The air itself will actually carry current and can dissipate signals. That's why you guys have problems with radio.
Yeah, we do.
I almost need an expert to go with it. And I'm a generalist. You just can't say I'm going to be 5 miles from it and it's going to affect me, or I'm going to be 20 miles from it, it's going to affect me. It could be 100 miles here, it could be 3 miles there, and it depends on the pulse. You could also get these pulses from much smaller things than a nuclear weapon. EMP is not limited to a nuclear explosion. There are people that got nothing to do but think of ways to do things bad, that make EMP generators just to have fun ruining people's equipment at parties. So that in effect only covers a few hundred feet. Well, so it's really tough to answer the question, but I would not expect to see what you see in the movies where all of a sudden all the headlights go off in every car.
What was that movie with Ocean's 11 where they used an EMP to shut down the casino or something? I was like, I don't know if that could really happen.
Shut down the power grid.
I'm
pretty sure casinos probably have generators, right?
Not only that, they probably have Faraday cages. Casinos do everything they can to block radio signals. People used to do things like have radios that would go up and activate circuits in the gaming machines. And they started implementing controls for that. Because the gaming industry does not like somebody to come up with a device and deploy it in their facilities. Yeah. They don't want anybody having a hearing aid with a radio on it. So I'm pretty sure they put wire nets in all of the walls. Well, an EMP cannot advance through a Faraday cage unless it obliterates the Faraday cage.
Wow.
A Faraday cage is a wire net system around an area that basically absorbs any radio signal or electric magnetic wave.
So that's what the walls are in Vegas. They have a lot of that?
I would expect they do, but I don't know for certain which ones. That's your Pi there.
Have Raspberry Pis incorporated like mSATA slots yet?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have they incorporated like MSETA or M.2 slots on Raspberry Pis yet?
Currently, they haven't. What they have is this.
It's kind of blurry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, you could put an oh, I see, micro SD. Okay. Yeah.
That's the entire hard drive.
Micro SDs have been making their way pretty good. They've got 128 gigs that are pretty fast, so you can always get those. And for USB drives, are they shared?
Yeah.
So 2 USBs are shared in one port, or not?
They're not the same port, but they're the same lane.
Lane, that's what I meant. Yeah. Okay. I hope they keep going. I'd like to see Raspberry Pis just keep advancing and getting more incorporated with the latest stuff. But I think their sole purpose is to keep it small and have more peripherals or adaptability, and I like that.
Yeah, they're using a lot of small appliances, things like that. So they are beginning to be used quite a bit in smart devices.
Yeah.
Hey, let me show you guys something that I'm gonna get going because I gotta take care of.
Take your shirt off.
I'm gonna get a snack.
Okay.
I got some. I wanted to show Ariel. They got this new organic Cheerios and Frosted Flakes and Puffs that they're selling at the stores now. And I've been taking pictures of the boxes, but maybe when she comes on, I'll put it on there. But I wanted to show you guys this. Hang on, here it is. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so I just made this comment because AJ had this up. Talk about children on a tarmac. Why would you redact any of the information? Talking about okay, anyway. So Fox had this thing on. They're stating that the tarmac meetup with Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, there were some documents up. There were some notations or some something was recorded, or there were some. It was on paper. Some of it was on paper because she's got to kind of record what she does and say and what it's about, blah, 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 blah. But the information that they have, they redacted a bunch of information. So why would you redact a bunch of information in regards to a meeting about talking about your grandkids?
They're talking about their grandkids' trust.
Personal?
I don't know.
It's just, and there was a lot of stuff on it from what Fox was saying. It just doesn't make any sense because that was a conflict of interest in my opinion. Well, anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with that. Aloha tomorrow night.
All right.
Thank you guys very much. Aloha. Bye-bye.
James.
Night, James.
Aloha, James.
Wow.
Yeah, Judicial Watch, I saw their video. They had those documents. And they was like, we've been trying to get these for the longest. And what I can tell you, a lot of this stuff is redacted, and I don't know why.
Yeah. So I have a question. So when you see donations towards politicians or their campaigns, it's hold on. I'm gonna mute Snark while he's moving around. Okay, he's fine. It says you can't be outside the U.S. to donate. You have to be legal. You have to be within the U.S. to donate. So it's illegal, right, to get outside money into political campaigns? Well, for super PACs, how can we tell? I mean, just kind of like the Clinton Foundation, right? And different super PACs. I mean, you can't really trace where their money's coming from. So, I mean, it could be outside money, right? But if that ever came to be that we find out that a super PAC was collecting money from outside the U.S. to fund political campaigns in the U.S., shouldn't that be something that we could... Now, is that liability on the super PAC or is that liability on the campaign? The campaigner, the politician?
I'm not sure because people are not following laws right now.
Oh, yeah, that is true, too.
Because, like, Hillary Clinton was supporting Corbyn's opponent. She had somebody out there from her campaign helping her.
But that could be different because that's the England or UK elections, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they might have different laws than we do on campaign contributions and whatnot.
But we may have a different law where we're not supposed to. When you think about it, she's Secretary of State. She was selling uranium to the Russians. That was illegal.
I don't know. It's hard to get involved with in talks with people who support Hillary still, because you see it on Facebook a lot. If you are on Facebook, a lot of friends or family members, and they'll still support Hillary. And when you get to the questions of asking about if Hillary's innocent on everything, none of these holds any weight, any of these accusations, or is everything a conspiracy theory about Hillary Clinton? But the thing is, they won't say, they won't know. They won't say yes, she's clearly innocent on everything, or all of it is conspiracy theories. They just don't want to handle that topic of conversation. Where was I going with this?
They don't go do their research. That's wrong with her supporters.
Yeah, well, here's oh yeah, this is where I was going. So you remember in the campaign for Hillary, when it goes, she's not perfect, and people, it's sexist to say that a woman has to be perfect in order to be like president or something like that. That was one of the slogans, or like tweets or something from famous people. Is like, no one should expect a woman to be perfect, and Hillary isn't either. But that shouldn't be, you shouldn't be putting women up in a pedestal type of things. And I think that is kind of an admission of guilt that Hillary has done things that weren't good or legal, but that shouldn't stop her from being president or something like that. I don't know. It just felt kind of stupid.
And it's kind of like, ignore all the things she did wrong, which of course she did wrong, but, because she's a woman,
And the thing is, she's still using
I know that's not exactly what you were going for.
It was close.
And she's still using the same people for her presidential run for the Democratic Party right now.
Well, I think that their formula usually works. And
it does? Better do?
So they pretty much I think they figured out what they needed to do, or what they needed to mess with in order to make it work this next time. Something that we don't know about. So whether it's the election rigging, or they've got plans based on, it's still a lot of time. There's 3 years left, 3.5 years. So there's a lot of time to plan and coordinate and make sure something happens. Anything could happen right now. Trump and the typical Republicans still aren't on the same page, and I think Republicans
they're both awful pages.
Yeah, because her unapproval ratings are still lower than Trump's right now.
Yeah, she'll never get back up there.
No.
They'd have to fake the data, the approval ratings on the. They'll probably as the 2020 election gets nearer, they're gonna have her probably appear more if she is gonna run in 2020 and really take on like a leadership role and talk the easy stuff, get her approval ratings to seem like they're going up, and then have her run again. And the campaign's going to be, she should have won. Russia got involved. She won the popular vote. All these things, and you're going to see it again.
Yeah, but I think even if she has this idea that she'd like to run again, I'm pretty sure the party says it's a wash, and they know that she's too unpopular and it's just a losing thing. But no, I'm talking about the party apparatus that isn't saying it, but I think behind the scenes they know it. I'm not talking about the voters. I'm not talking about the face they put on. I think they know she couldn't win again, but that's why they're throwing out all these other things against the wall, Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and everything, to see what they think will float. So I think they would discourage her from trying to run.
Here, the upper level thinks she should have another shot.
Mm-hmm.
And our state's the one that messes it up for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's at our meeting last night, it was 50-50. 50 won her out of the country, and the other 50 won her back on the ticket.
Oh my God!
But that's not the people way at the top in Washington, and
No, but it's the ones that way at the top of the Iowa.
The committee, But
and
I mean,
the ones that way at the top of the Iowa won Hillary, and the problem is that Iowa gets a big say.
Mm.
And there's already been a lot of money invested in Hillary Clinton and the foundation, and to just give it up, I don't think they're gonna want that. They're gonna, as long as Hillary lives, they're gonna keep having her, or at least some Clinton, maybe Chelsea.
Yeah, probably Chelsea.
To go in and fulfill all the investments that were made upon the Clintons.
I mean, to even give her a chance to win, they might have to run Charles Manson or something against her. Even then,
she'd probably a win.
Probably.
Oh gosh, that would be so funny.
I don't think Charles Jefferson Manson was related to him at all.
Do we get to write campaign slogans on the walls in blood? And was that tasteless?
Well, that new slogan they have right now: better deals, better jobs, better wages. I'm like, that's like a Papa John commercial.
Well, anytime they're going to add one more to that, it's going to be better get in line.
It'd be funny if they had a slogan of "We told you so."
Yeah.
Like here in Iowa, like I said, I go to the meetings, and they're already backing the most corporatist ones, and I hear the party upper people talking over in the corner, thinking that the rest of us can't hear them. They can say whatever they want, and they're like, these people got to wise up. They got to vote for who we pick.
What's so sad? They haven't really sat down and do any soul search and admit that what they did in the Democratic primary against Bernie Sanders was wrong, because they're not going to get those 14 million people that left the Democratic Party back. They can forget it.
I would like to see the people that did the Black Lives Matter against Bernie vilified, because they made it seem like Bernie was a racist, and I'm pretty sure they were part of Hillary's campaign group.
Yeah, because they said Nico House said she had plants in North Carolina in his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been curious in the U.S. if we had election 2020 with Hillary Clinton, Jesus Christ, and Jefferson Davis, who would win?
Jefferson Davis.
Jesus Christ.
Nope. I agree with Snork. I think Jefferson Davis would win. That's how crazy this is.
That's almost who we just got.
Yeah.
And I haven't hardly met anybody that actually follows the followings of or the teachings of Christ here anyway.
Yeah.
So if he came out and was even halfway as liberal as Bernie, they wouldn't vote for him. So,
and it's they call it the Bible Belt. It's yeah.
So let's vote for the Confederate.
I think a lot more people would be, yeah, definitely in favor of Jefferson Davis, which is a little crazy to me. I'm not, I'm not at that point at all. As far as like, whatever rotation you go, I think that's just. But people love Jefferson Davis. The people who are in the South, in the current libertarian, or like the real libertarians, I guess you could say, that are the Southern libertarians, maybe I should say that, are very much into
Florida that still has Jefferson Davis Day.
Yep.
I remember I was wondering if I should go to Florida on that day, whether I'm asking for trouble.
I don't think you'd be in trouble. More people like me might be in trouble.
I'm kind of dark. I have a dark hair right here. These lights make me look a lot redder than I am.
I didn't know who Jefferson Davis was. I just looked him up, so I had to change my thing. Yeah, he would have won.
Yeah. Which, and today he would be considered far more friendly than Donald Trump.
Yes.
I mean, he kept his hands to himself. Probably only offended half the ethnic groups, and
could use words with more than one syllable.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like Lyndon B. Johnson. He used the N-word all the time, but he did things for black folks.
I don't know that Jefferson Davis ever declared bankruptcy. So, I mean, we got some scum in office right now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right now I just feel like everything's such a mess. It's hard to even make heads or tails, and, stories coming out from everyone in every direction are just craziness. And
but
the administration is all over the place, because one person's saying one thing, the other person saying another thing. So
Snort, Trump's bankruptcy, isn't that none of that was personal bankruptcy? It was just
none of it was personal. I think it was one's business.
Yeah, that's kind of a common thing. When
how many thousands of lawsuits against him for bad business practices?
Oh yeah, that
2,600. Is that correct?
Yep, something around there.
He's the king of bankruptcy.
Yep.
Whenever he does something, when somebody delivers, it seems to be very frequent that he gets a lawsuit for them. And he bragged about the one where he contracted somebody to build something. When he got done, he said, "Okay, it's built. I'd like to renegotiate the price." And he said, "I'm going to give you a quarter of what you quoted." And they're like, "Well, we've already done the job." And I think that one's still pending. And of course, it bankrupted the company that put out all the money and labor, and he didn't even cover their costs.
There's nothing with his name on it. No casinos in Atlantic City. None.
But when somebody does the work after you've cut a contract, I just can't see how he's getting judges to let him say, "Okay, you can renegotiate after they've done their part."
All right, because they're getting paid. It's the only way I can see it. Or
it does not look good.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to, at least in this age, to launder money, get money to be untraceable. It's kind of sad, but I guess it works around how to. I don't know. It's freedom in a way, but it's also utilized by the wealthy to be corrupt. Because that's the ones who where corruption matters. I mean, low-level crimes aren't gonna influence any judge, but you've got some billionaire out there, you know, a judge or jury's gonna be swayed some way or another. That's just a lot of power in the hands of a few.
Well, it shows he's not stupid after all these years.
Well, being conniving isn't necessarily being smart. You just understand how the system works, and you've got an advantage already. You just have to be dumb to lose it. We could just say he's not dumb.
Right.
He's one of the things I saw during his campaign is he would use the campaign money and have his fundraising events or whatever in places that he owns, and uses products that he owns, like his Trump steaks, Trump water, whatever, one of his hotels, so he'd have the convention at his hotels. So all the campaign money is actually going directly to him, right? Because he's holding the event.
I don't think he originally thought he was going to win, and that was his way to make money.
Yeah, I think so too. And then he realized he could win.
He was shocked.
Well, I think he was shocked that he did as well too. You could tell, and Madison was one of his first big events, and you could just see that he was overwhelmed because Madison had to reschedule, I think, at least twice. Where they didn't change the day, they had to change to bigger venues. And when we were talking to the people that were, helping the guide the lines around, they were so worried that they didn't know how to put. They had 15,000 people coming, and they only had room for 12 and a half. And originally, he was thinking a few hundred people would show up. So, he's going from the high school to auditoriums to stadiums on the second try. And he had to have overflow areas to go out and talk to the people who didn't get to come into. And that was just amazing. And I think that caught him by surprise. But I also still think that as many people were clamoring for Elizabeth Warren, I think she was pulled aside before, and I would like to have her on the stand and answer under oath. Were you told not to run? Because I think I can't see why, when she had millions of people signing to tell her to run.
It kind of makes sense because candidates don't usually say they're going to support a running candidate until they're done running. Right, so she never really stood for Bernie or Hillary until really late, until it was over.
I think the Democratic Party, Obama, whatever, pulled her aside and said, "Nope, you're not running. We've already decided Hillary's got this one."
And they threatened her about that powerful seat she has in the Senate too.
I had a political question. So you know how there's majority and minority for the Senate and the House? So if we had 10 parties, would the minority leader be the party with the least amount of members?
Or would it be a coalition?
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Do you think that would be?
I bet each party would have a leader, but there would probably be a coalition leader that would be the one that's the speaker.
But
whatever.
Like what if all the minority parties, I guess you would say, had a coalition leader, but all the minority parties combined equaled more than, or were more than, the majority party?
If they got more than the majority party, it's not a majority party. They could be the largest party.
Okay.
But
they wouldn't be a party. They'd be a bunch of little parties.
Yeah, and I would guess that a coalition would have to come together and decide how they're going to play it.
I see. That would be interesting. Has there been an instance of that in the past?
Not that I know of.
Wow, we've really been stuck at this two-party system in a way for a long time, I guess.
We need a historian.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good historian.
That's why I didn't toss out all, or get rid of all my old books, because I have like old history books, some of them like 100 years old even, and you can see the way things were being said at the time, because what you're seeing now isn't necessarily what was being said then.
Yeah. And I always felt like, and I mentioned this before, is like how our current news system, it ends up being history once, we go further up. It's kind of like how up from like 9/11 in 2001, CNN, whatever, and MSNBC and New York Times build up to the Iraq War. How accurate was that? If it wasn't accurate, I mean, that's basically what the story is in history textbooks now, right? All the stuff that happened. So if those aren't true, if a lot of these events aren't being true and they're being propagated by the government to tell it to news media to say it, is there an area like a library, maybe the Library of Congress, where they actually hold the real events of history and current events back then, like saying, hey, we know that this isn't true, but we wanted this propaganda piece to come out that way. We raise generations on a lie. That way we can easily control them. So is there an actual library of the history that they know is true?
I don't know.
Well, Barack Obama left with some books, I think from 9/11, and I forgot from something else. Well, you won't be able to see it until I think like 2020 something. I remember seeing him leaving the White House and he had them books under his arm.
Kind of like a members only type of history. I mean, the Vatican probably has a vast collection of books too, where I'm sure they've got a lot of their own history from their own propaganda, if they had any, to read back on. So any initiates.
I don't know, would they only have kept the ones in there that showed the view of those who held power at that moment, though?
True. Yeah. I mean, how much can you trust a historian to write up the history of the world, unless they're
that's
just
true too.
They could be paid for anything, but if they're but unless they're
you're more likely to find truth if you find like personal letters or something of people from the time than any kind of official written history.
Because I mean,
he had my former senator here, Arlen Specter, with the one theory bullet was JFK.
Did anyone read all the latest JFK releases?
No.
No.
I didn't either. I feel like it wouldn't be much anyway, or it'd be just really redacted, so you wouldn't be able to piece out anything. I mean, how long ago was that? 63, was it?
November of 63.
Yeah. So that was, wow, 37, 40...
50-something years.
Yeah,
54 years since he died.
That's a long time just to not know the truth.
I saw this one guy on RT several months ago, and he wrote a book about JFK. He was involved with he was involved in the administration somehow, some way. He wrote a book, but it was really deep. I can't remember all the stuff he was saying, but what they're telling us in history is wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I just have a sense of that too. The more whoever was saying it is like the closer they look into things, just the more inaccurate things look. It just always feels like that. But
And honestly, what they did to JFK, that's what they trying to do to Trump. I don't like Trump, but that's what they trying to do.
what do you mean? Like control him? Or
get rid of him?
No,
they want him gone.
If they wanted to get rid of him, they could get rid of him. I think it's just the way that how the public would perceive it. They'd really have to plan, and it's a factional game. I think it's like Game of Thrones. If you watch Game of Thrones, sorry if I have to make Game of Thrones analogy here, but people want to be in power and they want to be in position to attain that power when Trump is gone, and the Democrats want to be in that power. Republicans want to be in that power, and if Trump is gone, it's Mike Pence. And then if Mike Pence is gone, of course, it's the Paul Ryan. And I think if Trump actually loses and Pence is actually president until 2020, I think he'll push policies. I mean, just as bad as Trump has, but it'll be what the oligarchy, I guess, wants, and sets up a Hillary 2020 win. But then I think the Republicans don't like that idea. I think they like holding the House and Senate as well as the presidency. So there's these, and of course the ones who fund them, the billionaires that are out there. You've got George Soros versus the Koch brothers, whatever I call them, Koch brothers. It's they want to be in control of the power, not in the hands of someone else. It gets up to the small, tiny amount of who holds the real power. It's got to be the billionaires, right? So they're all just kind of fighting peace for being hedging their way into a power. That way they don't lose everything that they have. Because I think it's just a security measure. I mean, when you have, I guess, hundreds of thousands or millions, you start buying security cameras. You start having like security guards. And once you have hundreds of millions of dollars, you start having to make sure that you have connections with good lawyers. Possibly judges. You want to get yourself out into the political realm, know the mayor, know the governor. That way, if anything happens, you can contribute to them. They'll have your back, you have their back. Meet with other multimillionaires, maybe billionaires. That way, if they're in trouble, you can give them an out. Or that way, if you're in trouble, they give you an out. Unless they want to just take everything from you and all that other stuff. So it gets really tricky. But, it's just the level of security that you end up needing to secure your capital. And that's the capital game. Once you get it, how do you keep it? And that has to tie in with power somehow.
Yeah, the billionaires are the Iron Bank.
Yeah. Who are the Lannisters? Who's going to pay their debts? I guess that's the Clintons. They're probably in debt.
I don't think either party's paying their debts.
Man. Yeah, one of the things I always wanted to do was like have a Game of Thrones analogy of the current political game, I guess you could say. Like Game of Thrones USA type of thing. It's like all the different houses would be more of the kind of like how there's the Clintons, the Bushes, you've got the Koch brothers, the Vanderbilt, not the Vanderbilts, the where are the ones from way back?
Rockefeller.
The Rockefellers, there you go, and just a whole bunch, and what their positions are, what type of army that they have, I guess you could say, because it starts getting to be more, instead of standing armies, it's more just kind of covert teams or forces or whatever, mercenaries, mercenaries really, and based on states, counties, and wherever they live in, wherever control, like backseat power that they have over a lot of people. Didn't some Vanderbilt or Rockefeller die recently? And then even
David Rockefeller, I think.
Okay. And like
years ago.
A big hubbub over Neil deGrasse Tyson, was saying how he was putting him on a pedestal because of all the donations he made to science, and same thing with Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I think people were like starting to be anti-science, kind of, or at least celebrity science, if you could call it that, because of that endorsement. So it's almost like it doesn't matter how bad a person is, but they donate it to a good cause. That kind of offsets all the bad that they would ever have done. Nah, I guess that's capital heroism, right? So you could be horrible, secluded life. You fund a lot of wars or whatever, but then you fund some good stuff that kind of offsets it, at least to the public eye. All right, this is depressing talk.
I'm sitting here trying to think of, relating each political faction to a Game of Thrones faction.
Well, who would be the Starks? Would that be Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, probably. I don't know, Jon Snow. But then you have to fit in Daenerys, who...
Oh, she's kind of good. Really powerful. That would be tough. It would have to be maybe like Jill Stein, if she ever gets, or the Green Party, if they ever get, if the dragon eggs ever hatch. Right now, she's just Daenerys without the dragons.
And I think of Cruz and Pence, and that is the High Sparrow, the sparrows.
Well, there's also Littlefinger. Maybe Littlefinger is like John Podesta, maybe, or I would probably see it that way.
He's kind of manipulating every party, where Podesta really,
It's just a Democratic Party.
Democrat.
So who's that guy? The billionaire in Nevada. He wants people to support Israel.
Same Heben, or the other one, Adelson.
Yeah, Adelson. There you go. Maybe Adelson's Littlefinger, because it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. You pretty much need Adelson's support. Or Candid Beauty says Littlefinger is a lobbyist. That could work.
And what's his name? Varys. And like he says, his concern is the good of the people, no matter who's in power. It's about the good of the people. So he's sort of.
But in a snide way, he's looking for the Iron Throne too. And in the books, well, there's a theory that in the books, Probably too late for the show, but in the books that Varys, that Aegon the second, basically the son that died. You know, remember where the guy from Dorne was fighting the mountain, and he got his face crushed. Well,
Oberlin,
Oberon. Yep.
Something like that.
Well, the mountain, when he actually crushed the baby skull against the wall and raped the current emperor's the queen, that baby was substituted with another baby, and so there was another son of
I don't know anything about babies, not in the show.
oh yeah, it's in the books, so they barely mention it in the show. But anyways, that Rhaegar's son actually lived, and that they're trying, Varys and the other guy is trying to get him on the throne. In actuality, I don't know.
Well, Rhaegar's son is probably Jon Snow.
Well, yes, it is Jon Snow, but that there would be another son of Rhaegar that survived. That was Aegon, but I don't think they're gonna bring that into the show. But in the books, that was a possibility.
I have to read those books.
This show kind of put me in an old movie I saw back in the day called Caligula. Playboy made it, and that movie was disgusting.
In what way?
Huh?
In what way?
It was really disgusting, sexual.
Well, maybe don't watch Spartacus, because Spartacus has some Game of Thrones-esque nudity and sexuality.
Yeah, I never saw Caligula, but I heard about it, and I guess it's like all the Roman orgies and all that. So
yes, the man was sleeping with he was having sex with horses.
Oof.
I'm like, oh my god.
Okay, it's not as bad as Caligula.
As long as it wasn't tunneling.
I don't think Game of Thrones has gone that far.
No.
Well, that's good. I could deal with, but to hear the baby head was mad. That's disgusting. I have to go look away from something like that.
That's in the books, though. They reference that in history, not necessarily what you see or what you read.
Oh, okay.
But they depict at least a couple of characters that are really pretty evil, but it's. So
this show was from a book.
Yeah, it's a fantasy fiction book by George R.R. Martin. Published it first in 1996. I think when the show started, or they were pitching the show, I think George R.R. Martin finished his third book. But then his latest book was in 2011. And so that's when the show actually started airing. And pretty much George R.R. Martin didn't know a lot of how things were going to pan out, but he told them pretty much what he kind of already knew, how he wanted it to go. And then so for right now, which is season 6 and 7, I think season 6, I think George R.R. Martin kind of talked to them how things were kind of going to go. But season 7, he's not doing anything as far as screenplay or any of the writings. So that's all the script writers and the directors for the last 4 episodes.
He probably told them who not to kill off or something. Though.
Oh, not necessarily, because there are people who are dead or alive that are in the books that are dead or alive.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the main major characters.
So that's like The Walking Dead. That's made from a comic book strip.
Yep.
That I never read, but
let's see.
was awesome.
I'm trying to remember who's
No
I can't remember.
No spoilers.
What happened?
I mean,
Sorry.
I know in the books they brought back Caitlin as like a ghost, Lady Stoneheart or something.
Yeah, Lady Stoneheart. She got revived, just kind of like how Jon Snow and the other guy got revived a couple times. But in the books, it's also different. When you get revived in the books, you start losing a part of yourself. Just kind of like how the White Walkers, when they turn the dead into skeletons and whites and whatnot, they lose a part of themselves. It's kind of a little different effect. But I don't think they're doing that with the show.
Well, it's like Bran is sort of distancing himself from his humanity as he more becomes the three-eyed raven.
Yeah. But you didn't see that in the last book. At least I don't remember it. He would be able to see things in the past as long as he was next to the tree, the big tree, the werewood. Maybe that's what it's called. But they didn't really get in as far as what he was able to see, like in the show. Okay.
I don't know what they'll be doing with his character now. I mean, where they're going to take it and how big a role he'll play, and anybody's guess right now.
Yeah, I mean they're doing good so far. I like where they're going with the show. I think they're gonna do things differently in the books. But they've got a lot of spin-offs too. They confirmed one spin-off after Game of Thrones ends. They haven't told what it was going to be about. But I would like a spin-off for each house. That would be pretty cool. Like a historical take on a house preceding the Game of Thrones. So people get more historical context out of it. Like do one on House Dorne, which would be like Sword of the Morning, or is it House Dorne?
Dorne is the one with the woman with the three daughters, and Oberlin was the brother. And
I'm trying to think of what the Danes. I think House Dane. There you go. Would be an interesting one with the Sword of the Morning, the one where he was supposedly the best fighter. He's the one that knighted Jaime Lannister. He's the one that Ned Stark supposedly beat in battle, but remember in the show, his friend stabbed him in the back of the neck, and then Ned finished him off. Then he went to the Tower of Joy, and that's where he found Lyanna Stark with a baby. That was Jon Snow. So the House Dane, this Dane story arc is pretty cool because like a lot of passing on of like swords was always usually from like father to son or some way in that effect. The Sword of the Morning is, you know, similar to Valyrian steel, I guess, but it's passed not to by heritage. It's based on how what your standing is as being the best swordsman in that house. So it doesn't matter if you're the king or super high lord, ranking lord. You don't get that sword unless you're the best fighter. So how they depict that as how you're deemed as the best fighter would be interesting. How they would do that. And then what they don't seem to get into a lot is the warg ability of the Starks. That would be also pretty interesting because what makes House Stark so different than any other house? Than the Targaryens with them being able to tame dragons.
yeah, it doesn't really even show all of them capable of warging.
Yeah.
Just,
and
they were. I think the whole was a family trait that they.
Yep. And in the books, Arya was able to work into a cat, and that's how she was able to fight blind. But in the show, it's just her just being trained to be able to fight in the dark, blind. So I think they'll make it a little bit different, that Arya ends up being able to warg into things to help her fight and do assassination attempts. So I don't know. It's okay. I think being able to like change things from the books and the show. All right, I've been talking so much. I haven't talked this much in a long time. I'm thirsty.
Hey, any of you guys were into the back of the day martial arts movies?
Like what kind? Like what kinds?
Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah, I watched every Bruce Lee movie.
I did too. I love Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee was good.
Yeah, I would love.
Yes,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would love to see how he would have ended up finishing Game of Thrones. So I thought that was, yeah. Like if he was still alive, how that would have finished. Because the fight scenes are pretty good, but like the story, it felt like more of a. You know how? Remember The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger? It was a Stephen King book.
Yeah.
And it just seemed a lot similar to that, kind of like a game show. So I wasn't sure if that's. I mean, the title was Game of Death, so I was wondering if that was the arc that he was gonna make it. Is that it was some type of game show similar to The Running Man, where you fight off bosses to get to the top boss, and once you win, you don't die. You get a prize or something like that. I don't know.
I'm confused. Who would have done that? George R.R. Martin?
No, we're talking Game of Thrones.
Bruce Lee wrote Game of Thrones?
He filmed Game of Thrones, like the fight scenes, but he didn't finish it.
Was that long before Game of Thrones was even started to film?
No, he filmed footage somewhere. I think it was in India, maybe, and then he had to go back to the U.S. to finish filming Return of the Dragon, or Enter the Dragon, not Return of the Dragon.
Okay, what does this have to do with Game of Thrones?
No, I'm talking about we switched from Game.
I'm confused.
Yeah, I know. We switched from Game of Thrones to martial arts movies from Shirley.
Okay, because somehow I thought you were tying it into Game of Thrones.
I was tying it into Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
So there's Running Man, the movie, was an adaptation of The Running Man from Stephen King when he was writing as a pseudonym of. Remember Stephen King's pseudonym?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it. I know it.
Richard Bachman.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, they made it more into just like a futuristic game show. And I was just saying that I think Game of Thrones would have been pretty much almost exactly like the story of Running Man, the movie. Snork, are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. You're just kind of.
Because I used to watch little martial arts movies. They used to come on back in the day on the back channel.
Yeah.
And they were pretty good. Especially I went to the movie that saw Return of the Seven Grand Masters, and they fought with the elements of the earth.
Oh. I remember the one with they had the different animal styles, the praying mantis, the snake, and
yes.
I forgot which
the ones in mask.
I don't.
They were the one in mask, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I forget. And I remember this one guy, like he hurt his hand, so he always fought with one hand, because the other hand was like. I forgot what that one was. I mean, there was a lot of good ones back then. I mean, they're kind of
Yeah.
bad choreography, but it was still fun to watch. I loved watching
But
it.
it was the choreography wasn't bad on Bruce Lee though.
Yeah.
Especially in the Chinese Connection, I love that movie. And that, I believe that's the one where they killed his teacher.
I feel like they yes, I think that's right.
And he got that guy. You killed my teacher. Why, 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 why? Oh my God. I was like, he is awesome.
I like the Jackie Chan movies.
I like
Jackie Chan is pretty good too. He got a new one getting ready to come out too. They look like it's good.
Is he still fighting these days? I thought he's given up on that.
Yeah. No, he got a new one coming out. It's not a comedy. It's really a drama. I forgot the name of what it is, but he had a new one coming out.
I think he was saying at some point in his life that he was just gonna stop making martial arts movies and just do normal acting, just because his body can't take that anymore.
I don't know. This is action packed.
Because it seems like we're kind of getting low on martial artist actors from Hong Kong. I think the latest is gonna be the guy who was in the latest Star Wars movie, Rogue One. Donnie Yen.
Who? Donnie
Yen. He's still kind of old, but he's not as old as Jackie Chan or Jet Li.
But Jean-Claude Van Damme was good too.
Yeah.
We did the Street Fighter the movie. What was our movie, and he filmed in my office. Well, I guess my office was Kylie Minogue's changing room, and then they filmed a bunch of things, and they took some shots of him, and they made the second video game for the series called Street Fighter the movie, and then we had like 50,000 T-shirts to give away with the opening of the movie, and the movie just bombed so bad we were left with almost all the T-shirts, and we were using them for rags in the factory because Jean-Claude Van Damme said, "I never want to go and see one of those T-shirts on a street. If I walk by it, I'll sue you." So we were tearing them up and using them for rags and stuff. I think everybody must have taken home 50 or 60 of them. Because we were like, do what you can to throw these away. They said, just don't wear them.
Who was that snort?
What's that?
Who was that you talking about?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh.
Was that the
commercial? I'm going to ask you a question. Was that the commercial he did? And he was between two...
No.
Trailers?
There was a movie called Street Fighter the movie.
Oh.
With Raul Julia, and the main characters of the movie did some filming in our factory. So we had shots done with Jean-Claude Van Damme, but when it was turned out that it looked like it was going to be a stinker, he revoked permission for the T-shirt with his picture on it to be distributed on T-shirts.
Now, how much can you do with a movie based on a video game that has like minimal story and
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I've seen some martial arts movies. They kind of vary, but when you were talking about Jackie Chan, it made me think of a movie I watched just, I don't know, a few years ago, and it was like so dark and so depressing. I had to look up on my list to find the name, and it was Shinjuku Incident. God, it was a depressing movie. In fact, I put a little note in my list of movies watched, and it said, "Good Jackie Chan movie, more serious than his usual fare, but downer. Not to say it wasn't a decent flick, just very downbeat. I think the moral is never try to get ahead, never try to help people. You'll all just go down in flames. And good guys don't do any better than bad guys, but they take everyone else down with them. How uplifting." That was my little note on the movie when I watched it. It's like super depressing.
Which movie?
Shinjuku Incident.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
But it was not a really like so much a martial arts movie, but just a Jackie Chan movie, but really dark. But yeah, I haven't watched that many martial arts. Story of Ricky, Ricky O, whatever.
You ever seen any Bruce Lee movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple, but a long time ago, not recently. Like Enter the Dragon, but not anything recently.
Fury and the Dragon. Sister Fury and the Dragon. Chinese Connection.
Did you ever watch Way of the Dragon? Or Return of the Dragon? I think there's two variations of the name.
I really didn't care for Return of the Dragon.
It's the one where he fights Chuck Norris at the end. That one?
Yeah.
Really?
Chuck Norris pisses me off, and he still pisses me off in real life today.
Oh.
You didn't watch, what's that, Walker Ranger?
I never watched that show. There's something about Chuck Norris I didn't like. And later on, I found out he's a Republican.
Well.
At least he was against Hillary, so you got to give him his due.
Yeah, you got to give him his props on that one. It's another guy. I'm trying to find out his name.
That doesn't necessarily make somebody a good guy. He can be.
No, he's not a good guy.
He's
not a good guy.
Not always my friend.
It's another guy that does martial arts. He be in movies. A lot of them are they don't go straight to the movie, they go to video, but his movies be good and action-packed.
Steven Seagal?
Huh?
Steven Seagal?
No, he's currently playing in movies.
Oh.
And I'm trying to find him.
Jet Li?
Jason Statham?
Jason Statham?
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually wasn't an action martial artist. He was in like Two Guns and Smoking Barrel. No, Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrel, and another one with Brad Pitt as a boxer. Gosh, I can't remember it. And then he started making a movie called The Transporter, and he was doing martial arts.
Yeah, he was always in those.
Mm-hmm.
But he had been in a lot of movies I watched that went straight to video. Boy, he'd be kicking ass. And my husband started watching. He said, "Man, this guy is good." I said, "I told you."
Yeah, and then he was in The Expendables with the Sylvester Stallone and all the other older action stars.
Yeah. I like The Expendables.
Ebon, your chair still makes me think you have lop bunny ears.
What? I don't get it. Oh, I see these.
Down on either side, it looks like.
I should make him white and pink.
Bunny.
I'll make him white and pink one day, so it looks like I really do have bunny ears.
Is it a gamer's chair or something?
Yeah, I like it because of the lumbar support that it has. So when I'm sitting in long periods, there's a lumbar support up here for the neck too if I ever just kind of want to lean back and work. So I don't always have to lean forward like most of the time I do. And then actually where my feet are, I have this little swivel ramp. So my knees are always in a good position. Same thing with my feet, so it keeps my posture good. I mean, theoretically, if I'm really working, I'm probably and doing this and whatever side stuff, I might be sitting in a chair for like 16 hours a day. So having a good chair is really important, and or good setup, I would say. I mean, at work, one of my coworkers has can swivel everything up so he could stand while he's working. I don't have a setup like that, but at least he's not sitting down all the time. He can stand up or sit down. But it's hard to move everything up because I've got 4 monitors on one desk right now. I would have 6, but that's just...
Wow, 6?
Well, I don't need 6. 4 is a lot right now.
Well, that's a great idea, man. Because you can have like a bunch of like browsers open. You can reference. You don't have to go back. Click.
Yep.
Heck, I can't even keep up with the video chat and the chat at the same time.
We have a 24-inch that has 4 broken pixels. Something fell against the screen, and we're going to be replacing it next month. And I'm thinking of putting them above my desk, facing down, so I can put a virtual sky up to control.
Directly down or angled down?
Directly down.
Oh.
So that brief glances up would help me control my circadian rhythm.
Why not just have like a poster?
Well, I mean, it changes during the day.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Night.
That makes sense.
And I could also have it flash red if something's coming in, or just things you can do with it.
Yeah. Makes sense. Except I don't really look up all the time.
No, you don't look up much. You just glance. So if you had a window above you and it suddenly changed from light blue to a flashing red, you would notice that. Not by looking up, but by the light it casts. So I'm looking at one just to cast light in the area to make different changes. Or, like I said, if I want to look at something on the desk, I can just say, switch to white and have it suddenly become a great big light above me. I can say go black and have it be dark.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you still put that at eye level and have it flash at you or something?
Well, I don't always want the lights at eye level, but they're finding in hospitals, you'll start seeing a lot of the overhead lights in hospitals are being replaced by pictures of a bright blue sky, and they're having it project through, and they find that helps people even handle pain and their health better.
Makes me think of like old Ray Bradbury stories where they had like walls that you could totally change for, look like you were looking out on different scenery and video walls.
So it's funny when I see depictions of hackers on shows or movies. I feel like they would have more of a setup like mine. So I'll give you an example. Where can I share? Oh, give me a second.
Yeah, I have to think, where does Mr. Robot keep getting the money to replace everything that he, well, not Mr. Robot, but what's his name? Ephraim Elijah, I can't remember his name.
Elias? Or, no?
No, that wasn't it either.
I don't think I'm caught up on Mr. Robot. I think I watched the end of the 2nd or 3rd season, and I didn't watch the current season that's on.
Well, every time he thinks, like he's in trouble or something, he smashes up and microwaves his equipment. How does he keep replacing it? He's, that's gotta cost a fortune.
Maybe he steals it? I don't know.
Yeah, he steals it. He just puts it on somebody else's credit card and has Amazon send him another one in 20 minutes.
Right.
Gosh, IE is killing me.
That's what IE does best.
Come on. Wow, this is horrible. Anyways, what you'll normally see is just one computer screen. Not one computer screen, one computer, the mid screen, and then second screen and third screen, so you have 3 monitors. I feel like that's not the best way to have a big, good hacking workstation. Not that I'm a hacker, but so the way I have it is I have 2 screens for one computer, 1 screen for another computer, and 1 screen from another computer. And I have, say, mouse without borders. It's basically you can use 1 mouse, 1 keyboard to control all your other monitors on different computers that are networked within the same network. So the main computer, I can do a lot of tasks, look up references. It might have all my files, important files that I'm ready to use. And I have another computer that might be more powerhouse. So when I'm trying to do something, it's not going to take up a lot of processing on the current computer I'm using. But I might, if there's a task that needs like brute force or something else like that, I can utilize the secondary computer, run it on there while I'm still doing stuff on my current system. And then on another system, you could start doing more analysis type stuff, or maybe having it saving your file system there, or taking it up and down, or maybe it's just a virtualization server, so it hosts the VMs and you can connect to the VM there on your main screen and do a lot of work there. That way you can shut off your VM, or it could also maybe be on a separate router itself. That way it's not on the same, going through the same ISP as your current computers are. There's a lot of mashups there, but I don't think they want to get into, like a lot of shows will get into deep setups for these things, except for maybe possibly Mr. Robot. I mean, most of it's just storytelling anyway, not necessarily the technical stuff. But I always would love it, I mean, because Mr. Robot does seem to get a lot of the technical stuff good, like right, not too bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I should put up mine.
I would show mine, except it's really messy.
Okay, I was just going to say, they always show, every time they show somebody who hacks and everything, the place is always a mess with, computer clutter everywhere, and then Ebon goes, well, I show you, but it's a mess. So, yeah.
Well, in House of Cards, the hacker is really clean, but for me, yeah, it's a mess. But everyone's different.
My main desk has it's made out of PVC with two 6 foot or 7 foot. it's wide here. I think it's at least 6 foot, if not 7. And then so I have the three monitors suspended, so I have no base on my monitors to get in my way. And I have reduced depth. Instead of the typical 30-inch desk, I have a 24-inch deep desk. And then my feet can go through the middle. And I have a little hammock down there that my feet hang on. So occasionally you'll see me lean back and look like I'm disappearing down. Actually, I'm just putting my feet up and going underneath there. So I have my keyboard in the middle, and I've got the CPU, printers, and things on a shelf up above. So occasionally you'll see me reach up, and I have another 24-inch by 6 foot level up above me that I can put all kinds of things on, and I do, and it's a mess. So it's easier to show the drawing. And then it's quite sturdy, and gives a lot of room, effective, and I can switch to the different side monitors as I need. So I'm sure.
Yeah, mine's a desk with drawers and doors, and a hutch on top with shelves, and which are packed with mostly video games. And
what I don't like about desks,
lots of clutter,
is if I want to put my feet up in most desks, my feet will touch the modesty panel, and I would have to have my my chair so far out from the desk that it would be difficult for me to use the keyboard. Also,
but it's a sliding tray for a keyboard.
When I calculated the prescription on these glasses, they're set for 31 inches. So that's the middle of each of my 3 screens. So from here, it's 31 inches to each screen. If I were at a desk with a modesty panel, I would have to order a new pair of glasses, and I'd have to calculate out what the prescription would need to be for those.
Yeah, I sit close enough that I couldn't really put my legs out all the way. Then I turn to the side so I need to stretch. But if I pulled my tray out all the way with the keyboard, and pulled my chair back, I could probably do it.
And I don't have a desk drawer. Instead, I have filing cabinets to the side. But my desk rides just over the top of my chair. So if I want to push all the way in, I can go as close as my stomach will let me go. But it's really thin, so it's 3/4 of an inch from my top of my chair to the top of my desk, and I really like that. And we'll be putting a second one up here shortly for my daughter and her system.
Yeah, that mess and clutter I talked about. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, let's see. So I have some clutter behind me. We're currently rearranging the room to get all my daughter's stuff in. We have four 3D printers and a laser to go in this room, and so I'm trying to get all that moved to that side, and a corridor to walk through.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get ready to go.
Yeah, it might be a good night to stop and start it up tomorrow night.
All right, good night.
Good night, everybody.
Stuff to do. Yep. Night, everybody. Night, Cheryl, Ebon, Snork, and
the Indefed didn't get to say anything much.
That's all right. I was listening though.
Yeah.
I had to do something.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. We'll probably find out what Stevie's been looking up. She's went full bore investigative mode. All right. See you guys.
Night.
Good night.
Night.